Hey everyone, welcome back to Beat the Sheet, an Xbox Game Pass challenge. As always, I'm your host Andy Woods, and I'm joined by my co-host Josh.
Well, howdy doody.
So, on this week's show, Microsoft finally catches up to our Big Bethesda Special, and we bring the lightning one final time. Ooh. So, how are you doing this week, Josh?
Oh, I'm doing okay. I'm a little bit exhausted from watching seemingly all of E3.
Yeah.
Even the shows which we're not covering today have somehow managed to sneak their way in. If you want a review of the future game show, my review is don't bother. But nonetheless, there's a lot of games. A lot of games, not many of them hugely exciting. I don't think anybody could call this a top-tier E3, but it was nice to have it back. It was nice to have it back.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's been a tricky one this year because the kind of being a football fan and a games fan right now has just made for the most arduous week of like 500 hours of content that you have to somehow like manage to fit into your time. So that's been challenging. I did also, like you, watch a bunch of shows that we aren't going to cover. Like I watched like the PC gaming show. I don't even play on PC. I don't know why. I don't know why I did that for. It just happened. I just saw content and just absorbed it like some kind of creepy amoeba. It just wouldn't stop. But yeah, look, I mean, E3 is still good. I actually think there's some really fun announcements. You can see that some companies are still getting impacted by delays from the last year we've had, but I think there's some really fun stuff on this one. So yeah, I mean, we'll get to that later. We'll cover that in the world's biggest lightning round, a round that's just stretched beyond any logical amount that it should be, but we'll give it a go. But yeah, until then, just a quick note, our new podcast Pixel Mix, that is launching this week. So depending on when you listen to this, it may already be out. The first episode of Pixel Mix is going to be out on Friday the 25th of June. And yeah, it should be a good episode. We are looking in depth at Killer 7, the PlayStation 2 and GameCube classic. We're also looking at Suda51's career as a whole, his kind of maverick games developer career. We're going to be talking about the Capcom 5 and also Nintendo's attempts for decades to shed their image as just a company for big, massive babies. So we got a lot going on in that show. That should be really fun. So catch us on for that one on Friday. But of course, that's all to come later in the week. So for now, let's get on with the show.
Okay, there have been 7 new additions to the Xbox Game Pass service this week, and they are Dishonored, Death of the Outsider, Doom 2016, The Evil Within 2, Fallout 3, Rage, Wolfenstein 2 The New Colossus, and Yakuza Like a Dragon. Now, most of these games have been covered extensively and in painful detail in our Big Bethesda Special, all the way back in episode 41, when we said, damn it, these games would turn up eventually, and here they are. So they've all been ranked, they've all been tiered. I'm pretty certain Doom 2006 is the highest ranked game here. I think that came third on the list and all, so that's the one to pick. But why don't we just quickly rattle through them and give some brief thoughts to the ones we've played anyway? Have you a bit of Dishonored Death of the Outsider? Have you played any of that yet?
Yeah, I'm through quite a bit of Dishonored Death of the Outsider. I've completed Dishonored 1 and 2, and I'm about halfway through this one. I think it's great. I think it's really good. It's better than the first game comfortably, but maybe falls just a little bit behind Dishonored 2, which realistically is one of the best Bethesda games of the last generation easily. So yeah, I think it's really good. It's well worth checking out. I would be playing it after I'd played Dishonored 2, though. I think that's how you're going to get the best out of this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a really cool jailbreak campaign in Dishonored Death of the Outsider, which is a lot of fun and is top tier Dishonored. I don't think anything else in the game really matches up to it, but even if you can just make your way through to that level, you'll have a fantastic time with that, because that's really good. But it's a really enjoyable game. Definitely one to check out. Think it did well on the Big Bethesda Special, so see what we thought about it then. Doom 2016, however, is an absolute must-play. This is a fantastic video game, only bettered by Doom 93. A wonderful reboot of a series that looked like it had come to its end. It looked like we weren't going to get any more Doom games. And along comes Doom 2016. It's probably the best first-person shooter outside of, I would maybe say, Superhot, of the last console generation. And that's no mean feat. There was a lot of good FPS games last gen, and this is definitely one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Doom 2016 is fantastic. Like you said, it managed to bring back a series that it was fair to say just didn't feel like it was going to work in the modern era. You had stuff like Doom 3 that tried to go for the spookier kind of horror vibes because it's hard to get that kind of fast-paced aggression that the old Doom games were, and actually bring that into the modern era. But they absolutely nailed it with Doom 2016. This is just a constant rush of just anger and shooting and like ripping people apart. And it's just a rush, man. It's well worth playing. It's absolutely the highlight of this set of games, I think, for me, at least of the Bethesda ones.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, at least just play it up to the time you cock your shotgun to the heavy metal riff behind you, because that's just one of the best gaming moments of the past decade. Fantastic stuff. Okay, The Evil Within 2. I don't know if you've played this yet. I certainly have. It's a very good game. It's a sequel to the original Evil Within. Evil Within 1 was kind of weird and a little bit odd. It had like weird frames and it was crushed all over the place. It was just a bizarre game. It was a lot weirder than the Evil Within 2, which is a little bit more straight-laced, probably tells a more coherent story, probably a bit more coherent game design. It loses a little bit of that weird flavor for me, and I think I called it upon that in the Big Bethesda Special, but it's still well worth a play. And as a survival horror experience, it must be one of the best on the service now that most of the Resi games have been removed. So if you want a survival horror game, I think this is a real good game to be playing.
Yeah, I've not got around to the Evil Within games yet. I'm definitely going to play them at some point, though. They look like a lot of fun, so another good pickup for sure.
Fallout 3. Now, Fallout 3 got a bit of a shafting on our Big Bethesda Special. We managed to convince ourselves that it was actually kind of terrible now. Maybe it is. I'm certainly, it's not a game I want to revisit. I enjoyed it when I played it 10, 12, 15 years ago. I don't want to touch it now because that will only sully the memories. But for those who haven't played it, I mean, use your own discretion here. I'd certainly say that Fallout 4 is probably the better place to jump in. And even Fallout New Vegas, if you could bear old Xbox 360 style graphics, is better still. But Fallout 3, it's a pretty good game, man. It's more than enjoyable. It was, even now, I still would say it's probably a decent game to play, but be wary of it. I think it may have aged quite badly.
Yeah, I think that's your problem, right? I mean, when Fallout 3 came out, it was groundbreaking in a lot of ways. The world was massive. There was a ton of kind of weird, little, crazy, interesting things to find if you just went off and explored. Main quest line was massive, of course, as well. It's just that even for its time, the kind of gunplay and the jankiness of it was a bit rough. So when you go forward, like, how many years? About 14 years. I just think all of that stuff's going to be even worse than you remember it now. So, yeah, I don't know. I do think Fallout 3 is a better game than 4 in general, but I just wonder if the age is going to be holding it back too much. My pick from this series will always be New Vegas anyway. I think New Vegas does enough different stuff that it's you can battle through the Xbox 360 jank because it does clever things that make it worth it. But 3 is a tricky one. I'm not sure I can recommend it really at this point.
Rage is a game that I actually didn't even realize I'd played until I played it again and started to have this odd feeling of deja vu. Such is the unforgettable nature of this id Software FPS shooter from the Xbox 360 days. Very old-fashioned open-world gameplay, very tedious title, not a lot of flair or personality to it. This isn't a particularly good game. I've forgotten even where it placed on the Big Bethesda Special. So forgettable is Rage. I'm pretty certain it was quite low down, though, and it's not a fantastic game. It's definitely one you should be looking to skip unless you're some form of sick Rage completionist. And anybody who deems themselves a Rage completionist should probably check into their nearest hospital and seek urgent help.
That seems fair. I mean, I'm going to say, probably a good proportion of our audience have played Rage and just don't remember. So just assume you've played it, I think is the best advice I can give you. Whether you have or haven't, you probably tried it. You probably thought this is just dull because it's just a big, tedious open world game set in just nothing. There's nothing in the world. It's all just one kind of gray, brown, monotone color. And there's nothing to go back to here. If you really want to play a Rage game, you can play Rage 2, I guess. That's slightly better. but I'd maybe say just play some Doom. Just save yourself the trouble.
I mean, that's the answer to most questions in life, to be fair. How about Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus? Now, this is another very good FPS game. I probably slightly prefer this to Wolfenstein, The New Order. It's slightly better. It's got a bit more color. It transplants the setting into Nazi-occupied America, which is a very cool and fun scenario, and it has a lot of fun with it. It's ridiculous. It's over the top. Its best moments I won't spoil, but believe me, it gets out of this world bonkers. Let's just leave it at that. It's a heck of a FPS campaign. Little slow to start. I'm not a massive fan of the first couple of hours of this, and I'd also recommend you tone the difficulty down a bit. I find this game obnoxiously hard on the default difficulty, and when you're trying to be a Nazi destroying superpower, being killed every 5 seconds doesn't really give you that buzz. So don't be afraid to knock the difficulty down on this one. You may actually have a better time.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think, it does kind of affect the power fantasy of a Wolfenstein game when you're just getting your ass kicked every 2 minutes. But yeah, I agree with everything you said, man. I think this game's fantastic. It's just a tiny step below the Doom releases, I think, but it's really not far away from them. As you said, you just can't spoil what Wolfenstein becomes as it goes on, sadly. So I don't want to go into any of that, but I'd massively say this is well worth playing through. You'll have a fantastic time. It's just insane. It's just an absolute bonkers game. So definitely one to go for.
And the one game announced this week, which is away from the Bethesda trove of new additions, is Yakuza Like a Dragon. So now the entire Yakuza series is available on Xbox Game Pass. That is very cool. I did not think this game, which only came out, 6-7 months ago, maybe 9 months, not that long, has already made its way over to Game Pass. And of course, we've not played this one, partly because I'm trying to play the series in order, and I'm only up to Yakuza 4. I'm pretty certain Andy's only up to about Yakuza 0 still.
Yeah.
So, we're a long way away from this one, but this is not a standard Yakuza game, is the important thing to note here. The studio took a heavy change of direction. Now, this is a turn-based RPG rather than a brawling beat-em-up, which is a very cool change of direction. It has a lot of fun with it. I've seen trailers and all sorts from this game, which just makes it seem wacky as heck. And I desperately want to give it a go because I'm pretty certain it probably was the best game of last year. But I didn't get round to it. I do have it on my shelf. I'm very much looking forward to playing it. Maybe it'll turn up in a Game Club feature way down the line in Pixel Mix because, I definitely want to talk about this game once I do get around to it.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much nailed on. At some point in Pixel Mix, we will be talking about this game because I'm desperate to play it, man. I just think I can't let myself go jump into what is effectively Yakuza 7. I know it's like a reboot in a way, and it kind of it's meant as a fresh jumping on point for new players, but I just can't do it. I need to play all the other ones first, sadly. But I think if to be honest, if that doesn't massively bother you and you don't really feel like you're going to get round to the old school Yakuza games, then huge recommendation for jumping into this one. Like all the gameplay footage I've seen, all the trailers I've seen, just make it look like an absolutely fantastic time. So huge recommendation. But yeah, sadly, I'm too much of a completionist, man. I just have to do the entire series first.
Yeah, this is standalone. You are right. It is standalone. Yeah. There's nods and there's references to the old Yakuza series, but if you did not want to play them, you can jump straight in with Yakuza Like a Dragon and have a damn good time with it. So definitely one to play if you have not yet, and if you're not just rushing your way through Kiryu's saga as we speak. But yes, some very good additions there this week. Some fantastic games added to the service. So if you've not played, I think 4 or 5 of them, you should absolutely be getting straight on it. There's some really good titles this week.
Yeah, definitely. This is one of the strongest weeks for new additions we've had in a long time.
Okay, let's move on to our leaving soon titles. Now, we've got 6 games set to leave the service, and they're looking like they're going to be leaving on the 30th of June. So the 6 games that are heading off are Battle Chasers Nightwar, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, The Messenger, Monster Hunter World, The Outer Wilds, and Soul Calibur 6. So a lot of games this upcoming week. A few big hitters actually leaving as well. Our days of rushing through the leaving soon titles are mercilessly pretty much behind us now.
Yeah.
So it does not matter as much to us. But let's go through them one by one. We haven't played all of these. I mean, if you think I'm going to, at this point in my life, play Battle Chasers Nightwar, when I don't need to.
Yeah, during E3 week and all the football's on and we're trying to, prep for Pixel Mix. We've got loads of work going on there. Imagine the world where you'd also be like, need to find 30 hours for Battle Chasers Nightwar. It can't happen, sadly. It just couldn't be done.
It can't be done. In fact, I'm not entirely certain what Battle Chasers Nightwar is. I know you have a better idea, Andy, so I'm just going to guess. And you can tell me if I'm anywhere
this works.
Just based off, general Game Pass logic. I'm assuming it's some form of team-based game where you
Okay.
maybe can play with friends in a giant online space, but it also
Mm.
has single-player mechanics.
All
I'm
right.
thinking it's going to be somewhat dungeon crawlery. I think it's going to be a bit loot heavy. You're going to be trying to find things.
Mm.
And I think it's going to be obnoxiously long. It's probably got some sort of procedural level generation because it is Game Pass.
Yeah.
And sod it, roguelike elements. Let's say there's some in there somewhere.
Yeah. All right. So Battle Chasers Nightwar is a 90s inspired traditional JRPG. So it's absolutely none of that. Yeah, look, Battle Chasers Nightwar, this it's a 90s inspired RPG, follows on from a lot of the kind of traditional Final Fantasy elements you'd see back then. Fairly standard turn-based battle system. And yeah, look, I mean, I've only done a bit of research on this game. I haven't found a lot of time to play it. I've actually got it downloaded on my phone for some reason, and I've never pressed on it, but it's installed. So maybe one day I'll play it on a phone. I think I just got excited by the idea back when we were trying to beat all of Game Pass that I could get progress on my phone when I wasn't at home because, obviously the challenge was life, but I never did get around to it. But yeah, I've heard reasonably good things about this. Apparently it's a solid enough game. My only worry is just that there's so much quality JRPG content on Game Pass alone, never mind on consoles as a whole. I just don't know what kind of person's picking up Battle Chasers Nightwar. There's just a horde of Final Fantasies before you even get past those, so why would you play this over any of those? I'm not sure.
It's certainly got a very generic title. I did not see 90s inspired JRPG coming from this, admittedly. That title did not give me those vibes in the slightest. I'm sure it's a perfectly serviceable title, but it's a long game as well, by all accounts. So if you are looking to beat this in 2 weeks, then I'd recommend you get started pretty much now and just don't have any life other than Battle Chasers Nightwar. And I don't know if that is a life, really, but nonetheless. It certainly is. It's the kind of thing we'd have been doing only 1 month ago, but nonetheless.
Yeah, but we don't have a life. It's fine.
Well, that is true. But let's talk about Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. So this is a continuation of the famous Marvel vs. Capcom fighting series. I'm a huge fan of this fighting series. In fact, it's probably one of my favorite ones. I love team-based fighting games, and Marvel vs. Capcom is usually a 3-on-3 fighter, although for Infinite, they made the decision to knock it back to 2-on-2. I'm not entirely certain that was the right call. I kind of missed the frenzy of having the third person to tag in and out of things, but it still plays perfectly fine. It's also got a heavy, heavy slab of MCU kind of influences on this. This is more influenced by the movies than the comic books. I don't know. I always kind of like this franchise when it was more comic book focused than movie focused. Most of the characters you see here appear in the movies. All of the Capcom characters are fairly straight-laced. There's nobody hugely exciting here. There's no weird oddball inclusions. So there's certainly problems, but as a fighting game, it plays well enough. It's okay. It suffers from the fact it's probably the worst Marvel vs. Capcom game, but even being a terrible Marvel vs. Capcom game means it's probably better than most 2D brawlers. So it's got that going for it. It's perfectly serviceable. It's perfectly enjoyable, but I'm just not as sold on this as I was past entries in the franchise.
Yeah, I'm the same, man. I think, Marvel vs. Capcom's a fantastic series. It's been going on a long time now, and they're usually really slick, really fluid fighting games. I think this game kind of misses a step somewhere. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the art style or the graphics, for one, are a bit... It looks a bit rubbish. It looks a bit low budget. And the animations, too, look a little bit rigid. And I just think a lot of that contributes to it just not feeling like a very tight experience, to be honest. And it still is a solid enough fighting game. It's not that it's awful. I mean, the story in this one just takes a few hours. So if you do fancy, playing it to the point of saying you've completed it, it's quite easy to do. It's fairly pain-free to do that. But yeah, I just feel like it's missing something. And also there's a strange thing with this game where some of the characters, particularly the Capcom ones, just look dreadful. Like, it's like hilariously bad. There's a rendition of Dande from DMC in this, and he looks like he looks like he's ill, like seriously ill. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they spent all the time on the MCU characters and maybe had no time to tidy up the kind of gaming characters from the Capcom library. But yeah, he looks pretty rough. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's fine. I think it's hurt quite a lot. I do agree with you. I think it's hurt quite a lot by its need to try and kind of hang on the coattails of the MCU, because you basically get an Infinity War storyline here with Thanos trying to get all the Infinity Stones. But it's not it's not the MCU story, because obviously it has all these extra wacky characters in from all over the place because of the nature of Marvel vs. Capcom. But that kind of just leads to this kind of weird, pointless, bloated storyline. And I just think because this came out around the time of those films, of course, and I think when people are already experiencing that in like MCU huge budget action movie form, do you really want to do like a weird, crappy side version of the exact same story? Like, I don't know. I imagine they got a few more sales because it looked like it was an Infinity War game, but I just think it's missing something by not just going on its own path, really.
Yeah, it also that influences on a gameplay standpoint as well, because you can use Infinity Stones to change the tide of battle in these games, but I never actually found them particularly useful. Some may slow down time, some may like power you up a bit. They all just felt fairly inconsequential. They never really felt like they had a massive bearing on battle. If you were getting your ass handed to you, you weren't going to change it on a dime with one of these stones. That just wasn't going to happen. So they kind of fell a bit flat too. And I agree with you. I don't think they did enough with the Capcom and Marvel licenses. I mean, there's brief moments where like Mega Man picks up Cap's shield, and that's pretty cool. That's a fun little moment.
Yeah.
But they don't do enough of that. A lot of the time, you're just facing endless drones of robots. Yeah. Just the same identikit robot over and over again until it finally ends. And that's just a little bit of a shame. Look, it's perfectly fine. I still like the tag team switching in and out style of these fighting games. It's a lot of fun when it does work. And combos are very easy to pull off. Things work very simply. They've really stripped back the actual combat system in this game for newcomers to pick up and get a hand of it quickly, which I appreciate. It just lacks a little bit of tightness and quality, I think. It's a lesser effort in what is a very good franchise. But as you say, 2 to 3 hours to beat the story. If you want to find out for yourself, it won't take you long to get through it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I gave this one a 5 out of 10. I just think it's a bit lacking, but for something that only takes a few hours, if you do like getting your Ys on your own version of the sheet, then maybe this is one to go for. But yeah, there's better options for fighting games. I mean, we're going to be talking about one soon, so yeah.
Yeah, I gave it a 6, I think. Perfectly serviceable. But let's talk about the next game, The Messenger. Now, this is a Devolver Digital published game. Interesting hook to this. It's almost a spoiler to say, but it's also the best part of the game, so I'm just going to say it anyway, is that it starts off as an 8-bit action game, and eventually, through story contrivances, it becomes a 16-bit action game half. It's very cool. It's very well managed. Other than that, it's just basically a Ninja Gaiden ripoff. But it's a Ninja Gaiden ripoff in 2 different forms of bit. And that's got to count for something. I've not played a ton of this. I've played a little bit because I do own it on my Switch. I thought it looked really cool years ago when it came out, and so purchased it then. But the Switch is where all good games go to die for me. So, I'm not going to get around to it. But yeah, this actually to me looks like a pretty fun game to actually give a go to. And not hugely long, only about 8 to 10 hours. If you determined, you could probably get through this.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. The Messenger looks great, and I do own it, but I've just never got around to actually sitting down for a session on it. It's the kind of game that I don't know, man. I struggle with these difficult ninja action games, like retro action games. They're the kind of games that I love the idea of, and then I play them for 20 minutes and go, nah, I'll do this another time. It's a bit challenging, a bit stressful. But by all accounts, it's got a ton of positive reviews, ton of positive feedback. So I think if you're a fan of any of those kind of genres or game types, then jump into this. It's meant to be fantastic. So I would say definitely give it a go. But yeah, we haven't done so.
we can't offer much more than that. Let's talk about Monster Hunter World. Now, this is a game I haven't played, but I have played a Monster Hunter game before, and therefore I can tell you it's not my bag.
Yeah.
These are hardcore hunting experience games, and they're very well put together. And by all accounts, this one is fantastic. But you have to dedicate your life, your whole being, to becoming good at Monster Hunter. And once you do, by all accounts, this is a franchise which will click for you and become the only thing you'll ever particularly want to play. So, this is probably, in my mind, a fantastic demo to see if you can get into this. Nobody can get good at Monster Hunter in 2 weeks, but you can see if there's enough here for you to maybe want to continue on with it and pick up a copy of it because it's dirt cheap now. So, a very cool franchise, a franchise I have a lot of respect for, but never a franchise I've been able to massively get into.
Yeah, so I grabbed Monster Hunter World at launch and I played it for honestly probably about 30 hours. I did put a decent bit of time into this game. I just, I finally thought it was time to give this a go because I've always heard about Monster Hunter for years and never really made that jump. And this one seemed like a good kind of refresh of the series. And look, I mean, it's a beautiful game for starters. It's a very unique game in that there's a lot to this. You don't I think from the outside in, it can sometimes look like it's just a boss rush game where you just fight a giant monster and then fight another one. But there's a lot more going on here. Like you've got to kind of track down the monsters, find sort of clues to where they're hiding and stuff. And there's different ways that monsters will react in different locations. So you kind of learn what they're going to do and when. So it's kind of like a lot of hunting vibes there. There's a lot going on with regards to your equipment and your armor and stuff. You kind of need to figure out the right approach to that sort of stuff. There's heaps of different weapons, all of which control completely differently to the point where like you can become an expert in this game with like great swords, and then you put a different type of weapon on and you don't have a bloody clue what you're doing because it takes that. You really need to master something to really kind of nail that on. So that's really cool as well. For me, I got to say though, even though I put all that time in, this still didn't quite click with me. I think Monster Hunter it's for a very specific type of gamer. I mean, you jump into these fights with these giant monsters, and it just takes a lot of persistence and a lot of patience. Like you'll be hitting something for, sometimes upwards of half an hour. You'll just be smashing into these monsters, and there's no health bars. There's no indicator of how much damage you're doing. The only indication of damage you get is that as you do more damage to the monster, that you'll have like 2 or 3 phases where the monster starts to look kind of visibly pained as it's doing stuff, and that's your only indication that you're getting anywhere near the end of the fight. And that, I mean, also I would say as well, like it's not an issue that many people are going to be bothered with, but I'm a bit of a, I'm a bit kind of, I don't like hurting animals so much and stuff, and this game makes you feel bloody awful for it because it's like you'll be fighting some monster thing, and as it's nearly dead, it'll just be like limping and one of its legs will be dragging on the floor, and you just have to just keep chasing after it, just smashing the shit out of it while it's basically just suffering anyway. And it's pretty grim. Like I don't know, it wasn't for me. I mean, apparently I tried for 30 hours, but after a while there's only so many like poor monster skulls I can smash in. It just made me feel a bit miserable. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, not for me. But it's the kind of game where I would recommend everyone tries Monster Hunter, because I think if it does click for you, you will find your new kind of favorite gaming obsession. But over here, I think I'm probably done with the series at this point.
There you go. Essentially, how many skulls you wish to crush is the level of Monster Hunter you'll want to play. How many skulls do you crush in our next game, The Outer Wilds? After your recommendation, have tried to play this because I know you do love this game. I've played the first hour. I'm completely nonplussed. But by all accounts, everybody is nonplussed with the first hour of The Outer Wilds.
Yep.
So maybe I'll push on. Maybe I won't. We'll see. But I'll leave it to you to briefly talk about this one, because I'm sure you're going to want to speak in much more depth in next week's Game Pass Top 50 list.
Yeah, absolutely. This will be coming up next week in a lot more detail. It will be having a very good showing in our list of the best games we've covered on the sheet for sure. So for now, I won't go too much into it, but I would say that Outer Wilds is one of my favorite games ever made. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And at the same time, I do completely understand where you're coming from, because the first time I tried to play Outer Wilds, I put about 2 hours into it because I'd heard so many great things about it. And I just wasn't quite seeing what people were seeing. I didn't dislike it, but I just kind of, I don't know, I turned it off. I thought it was fine, and I forgot to play it again, really. And then about 6 months later, I picked it up. I kind of started again, did the same kind of couple of hours. And then something just clicked, man. I don't know. So I should go a bit into what this game is. So this game is basically you're a little alien guy. You live on a planet, and today's the day you're finally going to launch off the planet and explore this kind of solar system you're in, which is this collection of different planets. And then basically, I mean, this isn't a spoiler because it happens 22 minutes into the game. But after 22 minutes, the world explodes. The whole place the sun explodes. Everyone gets killed, and you get warped back to the start of that 22 minutes. And at that point, you need to figure out like what the hell this is, why it's happening. Can you stop it? Can you do anything about it? And to do that, you just explore all these planets, but you do that completely at your own pace because, all these planets have different stuff on them. All of them have something that feels essential to you figuring out this mystery of what happened. And you can go to any of them and feel like you've made the right. You feel like you've been clever and smart, and you've picked the right choice. But anywhere is the right choice in this game because it's so intricately designed and structured. So yeah, look, I mean, I will go more into it next week for sure. But I would just say that to anyone listening, just try this game, and also even if you're a little bit not sure about it after an hour, just do try and push on with it, because honestly, like, you finish this game and for me, it is one of the best experiences I've had playing video games. I just think it's absolutely stunning. And also, I can't play it again because, the whole game takes place in a 22-minute loop. Once you know how to solve that loop, the game's kind of done. And, I could go on this game right now and finish it in half an hour. So I can't play it again. So I need you all to play it because more people need to play this game. So yeah, just please give this one a go. And yeah, I will talk more about it next week.
Speaking of gaming's greatest experiences, let's talk about a fantastic win-out in Soul Calibur 6, the best fighting game on the service. This is, as much as Andrew is pushing the Outer Worlds, I say you should definitely try and find a bit of time to play Soul Calibur 6 as well. Storied, famous fighting franchise dating all the way back to the Sega Dreamcast, may it rest in peace. Just a fantastic sword-based fighting game, 3D, just a wonderfully tight combat system, which anybody can pick up very quickly, is very fun instantly, but is deceptively tricky to master. And when I mentioned the win-outs are fantastic in this game. I've just been assaulted by motorbike.
Nice. Yeah. You've been ringed out by that motorbike, but
got to have.
But yeah, look, I mean, I agree with you. Soul Calibur is awesome. It's one of the best fighting games to the fact that it's very casual friendly, but if you really do want to commit to it and push on, you can become, some obscene pro at this game that just destroys everyone. Whereas, a lot of games, I've played quite a lot of fighting games where I feel like you just kind of button mash at first. And then if you want to really learn the systems, you have to really dig down and do it. Whereas I think Soul Calibur has a really good steady curve to that. It's like, even when you're playing through the kind of campaign or story modes in this game, it feels like the game is slowly building up your skill set and teaching you little bits and pieces to kind of bring together the whole package of how to play the game. And I really like it for that, because I think I'm never going to be the kind of person who can commit to just sitting down and sitting down in a training area on a fighting game for 10 hours to learn moves and combos. I'm not going to do that. But if you manage to teach me to get better at the game in your actual other fun content in the game, then I'll be more, inspired to give it a go. And I think Soul Calibur does a really good job of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Until I was rudely interrupted by motorbike. I was going to say that this game does have some fantastic story modes. Two different ones you can play through. One slightly more arcadey, one just this giant text-based labyrinth for the story that takes about 12 to 15 hours to complete. Is absolute nonsense, and really you should not play. But yeah, I 100%ed this, just doing everything on this giant map. Partly because it teaches you to play each character as well. You play through so many different characters in that mode, as well as your own created character, which is just bonko nonsense. My dude was an angel. That's great. And, you get to kind of get a feel for everybody's different move sets, because the cast of characters in this game is huge and fantastic. It also features Geralt, of all people, from The Witcher, turns up as the special guest character. Soul Calibur has always had a great history with guest characters, be it Link in 2. I think Spawn was on the Xbox version. Yoda, Darth Vader, they've all turned up in this series. It's very good for that sort of thing. It's just a really fun game. I like this game a lot. It's definitely worth playing. And the announcer.
Yeah, I knew you had to talk about the announcer.
It's Soul Calibur 6 is my favorite thing in history. It's just fantastic. Just the way every single part, this is the soul of Planet Skull, or whatever it is. It's all nonsense, and I absolutely love it.
I think it was something like every time you level up in the story mode, which you do all the time, he's just like, your soul rages through your body. And he's just really into it. Just loves it. The announcer's great.
That's absolutely. I mean, Andrew, if you can find a clip of that just to throw in at this very moment, I would hugely recommend it. But maybe we could save that for the top 50, because spoilers, Soul Calibur is definitely going to be featured on it. Really good game. I think this and Outer Wilds and Monster Hunter World, and maybe even The Messenger. There's a lot of good games leaving in this next 2 weeks. So for the first time ever, we're kind of saying maybe you should play all of them apart from Battle Chasers Nightwar, because there's some perfectly fun experiences here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, realistically, this might be a block of games where you just have to, commit to maybe buying a couple, whether you buy them now or whether you just keep an eye on them for sales in the future. But yeah, I think there's too much good stuff here to try and play in that time. I mean, if you do only play one, do of course play Outer Wilds and then buy it anyway, so that they try and make more of it. But yeah, look, fantastic set of games. So yeah, shame to see them all leave.
Okay, let's move on to our main feature of the week. It's the Giants E3 Lightning Round. Now, if you've never heard our Lightning Round segments before, let us run them down. What we do is we take 60 seconds per game announcement, be you Just Cause or Just Dance 2022 or The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. You only get 60 seconds for us to very quickly give our thoughts, give our impressions on what this game is like, whether it's going to be any good until we move straight on to the next one. It's an absolute rampage of a time. It's a lot of fun. We're going to take the conferences, not in date order, kind of more in like order of importance. We're getting some of the crappier ones out the way first, and then we'll build up to the big Xbox and Nintendo conferences right at the end of the show. We'll give some overall thoughts on each conference as well in 60 seconds, because this is a lightning round. Everything has to get done. So yeah, do you think we're ready to bring the lightning?
Oh, I mean, this is too much lightning. I think we all know this is too much lightning, but somehow we're going to do it. I'm a little scared. I gotta be honest, but let's just do it, man. Let's get into all of this lightning. Ooh.
Okay, let's kick ourselves off with Gearbox. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands.
Right, okay, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. This is a game in the Borderlands series. It is a spin-off from the main series. So if you are like me and you've maybe got a bit tired of the Borderlands formula, I guess Gearbox are hoping this brings you back into it. It's set in a kind of Dungeons and Dragons style world that Tiny Tina has created. So as you play the game, she can kind of mess around with it and modify it and stuff, which was what they did for some Borderlands 2 DLC. That was one of my favorite parts of that game. So I'm intrigued. They haven't really showed much on it yet, but we'll see. I'm more interested in this than just another normal Borderlands game.
Yeah, this definitely has more to it than just more Borderlands. It's got a fantastic voice cast. Looks like it's keeping that same form of art style and general humor to it. How much that has wore thin for you at this point will probably depend on how much you want to play this game. But I think there's something to be said here. It's definitely one I'm keeping an eye on ahead of its release in January of 2022. Okay, Homeworld free.
Homeworld free. I mean, the way they presented this in the showcase was a mess. It's almost like they think people care about Homeworld. It was really strange. Like between every single announcement, they showed a little tagline being like, Homeworld was the first ever 3D RTS game, and just weird random facts. And then eventually they just pointed out that Homeworld free is in production. So, you know, we're getting another Homeworld. That's all I've got. Have you got anything, Josh, to fill up another 30 seconds?
I mean, I can tell you how absolutely little I care about the fact there's a new Homeworld game coming. Yep. I didn't even know what Homeworld was.
No one does, Josh.
So these teasers for it, I was just like, what the fuck's a Homeworld? And why do they keep going on about it like it's hugely impressive? And then they get to the end of it and they just say, we're making a new one.
Yeah.
That's it. No footage, no nothing.
That's it. I thought we were building up. I thought, like, even though I don't care about Homeworld, I thought there'd be some big closing trailer. But now they just were like, oh, we're going to make one. I don't know. There you go. Enjoy. It was really, really weird.
Good news for the Homeworld fans, though. Tribes of Midgard.
Tribes of Midgard. Okay, this is a kind of 10-player crafty co-op looking game, which is pretty much most of what I hate about video games. It looks like the combat's fine. It's like a kind of top-down Diablo-style combat deal. That looks okay. That looks like it could be interesting enough. I mean, look, if you can find 9 other players who want to play a crafty co-op game, which, I mean, that's probably every player in the world who does want to play one, then you all team up and enjoy this game. But yeah, I will not be playing this one when it comes out on July 27th. It's just not my bag.
I'm pretty certain the developers of Tribes of Midgard couldn't find 9 other people who wanted to play this game, and they were literally making it. Yeah, this is just absolutely not for me. It's coming very soon. I think it's out in the next month. So if you are excited for it, you don't have long to wait for it. But if you are excited for this, then you must just be excited by anything. So, you know, this whole conference must have been fantastic for you. Even our next announcement must have excited you. That Godfall is coming to PlayStation 4.
I mean, this was funny, right? I couldn't help but laugh at this. I just thought, like, you release a game that is clearly just an abject failure, right? No one's talking about Godfall. No one cared about Godfall. It came out to a bunch of middling reviews. You know, no one's going to play that at launch on the PS5. I mean, it just wasn't going to happen. So I absolutely love the idea that you go like 8 months on and they're doing they're doing the opposite of what everyone else is doing and bringing it to an older console in some desperate attempt for players. It's, oh man, it's great.
The only way this announcement could be better is if at next year's Gearbox E3, they announce it's coming to the PlayStation 3. And at the one after that, they announce it's coming to the PS2. And we just keep going back and back until God falls on the NES. And nobody knows what to do with it.
And I can somehow shove an Ethernet cable into my NES and play online with the PS5 players. It'd be great.
That's the only future for this. How about our next announcement? Randy Pitchford dicks about.
Yeah, I mean, this is the only announcement in this whole set that isn't a game, but it had to be on here because the Gearbox conference was mainly like headlined, to be honest, by Randy Pitchford dicking about. This was the main thing that they wanted to show, as far as I could tell. It was basically just Randy Pitchford at the Borderlands movie set, but then he wouldn't show you anything from the Borderlands movie set because he wasn't allowed. So it'd just be a camera on his face while he looks at stuff going, that looks great. That's going to be real good. I'm excited for you to all see this stuff. Yeah, just that for like 15 minutes. It was the worst.
I mean, the only thing I could take of any joy from this was the disdain that everybody seemed to have for Randy Pitchford. Yeah. Nobody seemed to particularly want him there. Most people didn't know why he was doing it. I think everybody was just looking forward to when he left. And I mean, frankly, by the end of the conference, so was I. I could have cared less about the Borderlands movie. I mean, it's got a decent enough cast, but by God, this was just a waste of time. Overall thoughts on Gearbox E3?
Okay, overall thoughts. I mean, this was tragic, right? Like I was trying to be somewhat excited about the E3 as it was coming up, and this was one of the earlier showcases, and this dulled that excitement because, I mean, there was just nothing here. Like Tiny Tina's Wonderland, we'd already seen at Jeff Keighley's Summer Games Fest, so you take that out. And you've literally got what? Homeworld 3's in production. We're bringing Godfall to an old console and Randy Pitchford dicking about. Like, you don't have to come to E3 Gearbox. If you haven't got anything, it's fine. Like, you don't need to do it. It felt like they had to be there and they didn't.
Yeah, it was just a bizarre conference framed with this obnoxious Gearbox University presentation. I mean, it's just bizarre. It was like it was trying to be a bit Devolver-y, but Devolver actually has a sense of humor, and Gearbox has a Gearbox sense of humor. And that's about it, really. I just thought it was a miserable watch, and it's put me off the Borderlands movie, and I wasn't particularly excited about it anyway. Next conference, Capcom Monster Hunter Stories 2.
Right, Monster Hunter Stories 2. I mean, look, I actually think this game looks really good. It looks like a decent open world-ish JRPG with some kind of Pokemon elements where you kind of train monsters and use them in turn-based battles. That's all really good. My only struggle with Monster Hunter Stories 2, other than the fact I saw it at about 15 events this week, is the fact that it's Monster Hunter. And I don't feel like it has to be Monster Hunter. I think it's a weird link.
Yeah, I kind of want to play this because it looks charming. It seems to have like some form of like Pokemon-esque raising elements or Chow Garden-esque raising elements with a turn-based battle system and a cute art style and all the JRPG nonsense that comes with it. I kind of want to play it, but the thing that keeps putting me off is the fact it's a Monster Hunter game.
Yeah.
I don't play those games, so this is an odd one for me, but Capcom seems to be very excited about it. It's out in July. It's only a couple of weeks away, so get pre-ordering, I guess. The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Yes,
nice. So yeah, great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Very excited to see this coming to the West. These two games came out in Japan years ago, but apparently they've been an absolute nightmare to localize. So it's great to see that they've managed to do that. It also gives me some more faith that we are continuing the Phoenix Wright series to some extent, because being a Phoenix Wright fan, it feels like you're constantly, it's like supporting a football team that seems like it's going to go bust and just get deleted. Like you feel like the series is just going to go away. So anytime I get more Phoenix Wright, I'm happy.
Oh, I mean, this looks fantastic. I love this franchise. I love these games. I think this looks brilliant. I love the deductions. I love Sherlock Holmes. I love the fact that Sherlock Holmes is in the public domain and they could literally call him that if they wanted to, but still they go with Sherlock. It's just a lot of fun. It looks like a really good entry to the series. Can't wait to play it.
I love the juries as well, where you have to convince a full jury now rather than it's a good spin on the court case stuff. So yeah, very excited.
Very excited. Capcom as a whole, this is all they announced.
Yeah. So overall thoughts on the Capcom show are that, again, don't show up if you don't need to be here. You know, like Phoenix Wright looks great, but you could have just put that on anyone else's show. Monster Hunter Stories was literally on every show, it felt like. I mean, it was on Nintendo, it was on Summer Games Fest, it was here. So that was unnecessary. They started this off actually with Resident Evil Village, which we didn't even put in this list because all they did was basically came out and said, you all really liked Resident Evil Village, so we're about to start work on DLC for it because you want some. But it wasn't like they haven't even started work on it. Like, that's ridiculous. So yeah, very weak entry. Again, just don't show up if you don't have anything.
And the presenter, by the way, was absolutely terrifying. This woman was just like staring through my very soul, this forced smile.
They kept doing these really weird cutaways where it showed like the last 2 seconds of her talking again and whooshed it past. Gosh. It was so weird. Awful.
It was nightmare inducing. That's what it was. Speaking of nightmare inducing, Namco, Dark Pictures Anthology, House of Ashes.
Right, Dark Pictures Anthology. I mean, I quite like some of these games. I do. Man of Medan I thought was all right, but it's going to be just average, isn't it? It's going to be an average game. This one is set in the Iraq War. You play as US soldiers because we don't do much of that. You don't do much US soldiers in the Iraq War game, so that's nice. let's have even more of that. I don't know. I'm just not bothered, man. I'm just not bothered.
Like I said, I like the series. I like the studio. I actually think the setting is quite a cool one. Wartime ghost stories are quite cool in their own way. You don't see too many of them, so I think there's hope for it in that sense. And I'm sure it'll play perfectly fine, but it seemed a strange thing for Namco to be holding on to as, spoiler alert, the only thing they showed in their entire E3 conference, especially when it was also shown at the Summer Games.
Yeah, exactly.
So it had already been there. Namco as a whole, this was it.
Yeah, overall thoughts, Namco. There's not much more to say. This is going to be an interesting minute. Look, I've said it 3 times already. Don't come to E3 if you don't have anything. And this is just the absolute extreme example of that. Like, why do a showcase about one game that's already been covered at a different show? Like, that's absolutely insane. I don't understand why this existed. And it ran for like a bit as well. I'm pretty sure this was a good 20 minutes, half an hour of just, nonsense, and then a bit of Dark Pictures Anthology. Ridiculous. And the hilarity that this was the end of E3 as well. This came after Nintendo Direct. Namco came in like, hold my beer, Nintendo. We've got Dark Pictures Anthology. This is going to wrap up E3. Just awful.
Just a weird show. I don't understand why this happened. I mean, Namco's really cool games to show off too. Scarlet Nexus is out next week. They could have showed some more Elden Ring. That would have made people go absolutely mad. And instead, just this. Very strange. Devolver Digital, Shadow Warrior 3.
Right, Shadow Warrior 3. See, I've not really got into the Shadow Warrior series at all. I've kind of played one of them briefly, and I thought it was just an average shooting game. It's fair to say Shadow Warrior 3, which has been getting promoted for a couple of years now, looks absolutely mad. It looks like it looks like it wants to be like Doom level kind of speed and violence, but then just a lot more silly and ridiculous. You're shooting traps to make big, massive spinning like mace things smash people in the face. There's just blood and guts everywhere. It looks like a lot of fun. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to get around to playing this one, but we'll see how it reviews.
I'm definitely intrigued by this. You could definitely pick up a Doom vibe. There was a lot of Doom to this game, and more games should be like Doom. So, I'm more all in favor of that. I think Shadow Warrior 3 looks like a damn good time. Shadow Warrior 2 is actually available in Game Pass to play, and I've never got around to it. I've always meant to.
I think it's a lot more normal than this one, though. It's quite a normal shooter compared to this.
Oh, nobody likes normal. Trek to Yomi.
Trek to Yomi. Okay, this is not out till 2022. This looks cool. We don't know a ton about it yet. It's basically a beautiful looking, kind of stunning black and white samurai game, 2D game. I don't know, man. It looks intriguing. We didn't see much beyond just the guy walking around a bit, and then a very brief shot of some combat. Looks really stylish. It's got that black and white kind of Kurosawa movie feel to it. But yeah, we'll just have to see. I don't know enough about it yet.
Yeah, it's hard to take too much from it. I think it looks fantastic. It looks gorgeous. Love the black and white art style. Doesn't give me Limbo vibes, which is good because most things that are black and white do. This does feel very Kurosawa, as you was mentioning. I think this could be fantastic, but until we see more from it, it's kind of hard to touch it too much. But it definitely went high onto my anticipation list. I think this was one of the more exciting announcements at E3 because, let's be honest, there wasn't too many of them. Phantom Abyss.
Phantom Abyss, yeah. So this is a weird one actually. So this, as far as I can tell, it's a roguelike. It kind of has to be because it mentioned that you can see the players that have failed their runs in your game. But it's basically like running through a temple as Indiana Jones. It's entirely kind of traversal based in that you're a guy, you got a first person camera, you got a whip to use to climb things and grab onto, and you just got to dance around a whole bunch of weird temple traps and monsters that are trying to stop you going through. Looks like a fun play, but I'm just not too sure what it is.
It's meant to be a synchronous multiplayer, isn't it? I read a little bit about this, and I think, don't maybe quote me on it, that you can only have one go at the temple. So that you really do need to be looking at what people are doing so that you can see where they fail so that you don't fall into the same traps. Fun. And you can leave at any point if you've got some level of loot, but maybe you want to try to hold on and keep more and go for the big prize. Cool idea. It'll be interesting to see if it works in practice, though.
Yeah.
Wizard with a gun.
Wizard with a gun, right? So this had a very cool trailer. Very artistic, kind of cartoony stuff going on. The main character looked like an absolutely ripped version of Vivi from Final Fantasy IX, just been Kane in the gym, looked ripped, and then but then had a gun, and then there was loads of wizards shooting each other. It was like these kind of dramatic scenes of all these big crazy wizard characters. It looked like it was going to be great, and then it cut back and went, multiplayer survival sandbox adventure, and I absolutely just gave up hope. I was like, I can't believe that's all this is. It looks like every other kind of survival sandbox game. No interest at all. Very disappointed after that trailer.
Yeah, it seemed a lot of potential for this game, but the actual gameplay we saw and what it seems to be just does not fill me with any hope at all. Cool title as well. Yeah. It has a lot of Devolver trappings, which made me feel like it could be a good game, but Devolver does a lot of this sort of weird, crafty multiplayer stuff. I can't say I'm too hyped for this. Death's Door.
Death's Door. This kind of looks pretty cool. It's, as far as I can tell, it's a roguelike. It's got kind of a Hades style top down ish camera angle, but your plays a big angry bird. You're just a bird, and he's got like magic and bows and swords, and he's got a hook shot. It looks good. I mean, the combat looked really slick. I'm quite intrigued by this actually.
Yeah, I think this is definitely one to keep an eye on, along with Trek to Yomi. It's very much in Devolver's wheelhouse. They publish a lot of these sort of titles, and this looks like yet another one. It maybe could be a little bit generic. I didn't get huge vibes from it, but I do think there's a lot of potential here that you could actually come out with something quite exciting. Yeah,
definitely. And this one's out in July as well, July 20th. So not too long to wait for this one. Just keep your eye out for reviews maybe and some preview footage on this one, because it could be good. We just need to see if it does something to separate itself from the billion roguelikes that already exist, really, I guess.
Well, exactly. Inscription.
Okay, this came up and the trailer was like, it said it was from the developer of Pony Island and the Hex. I don't know what they are, gotta be honest with you. So that's not a great start for me. Really creepy, weird, like low-res art style. Like some of this looks like it's from the PS1 in a kind of cool way. I thought that was quite good. It seems to be a card-based kind of adventure game. If anyone's played Hand of Fate or the Hand of Fate sequel, looks a bit like that. You know, you sit at a table, you put cards down that determine what's going to happen. Didn't see a lot of gameplay beyond that. I'm not sure what this is. I don't think it's for me, but it looked unique.
Yeah, I was involved with this until I saw the cards. The minute I saw the cards, I kind of lost most of my interest. I'm sure this will be perfectly fine, but any card-based game needs to be real good to keep me involved, like Gwent, basically, is essentially all I've ever massively got into. So will it be as good as Gwent? Probably not. Devolver Tumble Time.
Devolver Tumble Time. I mean, this I didn't even realize this was going to be an actual release. I thought this was just Devolver dicking about, making fun of something at first. But yeah, it just looks like a weird ass mobile puzzly kind of game where you can select a bunch of different Devolver characters. It's apparently going to be free to play. Just super weird, man. Just Devolver being weird people. Every year they do something a bit odd. Like I remember there was that year where they did the bootleg collection where they made like 8 fake versions of their own games to kind of bootleg onto Steam. This is kind of this year's version. Like just a weird little fun thing. But yeah, pretty cool.
Never let it be said that Devolver does not know how to take a joke to its logical extreme. The trailer for this was fantastic. It was very funny with a very catchy tune playing all the way through it to the point where I kind of want to play it almost more than most of the games we spoke about so far. So credit to them, they know their stupid audience to Devolver Digital, and apparently it is me. Demon Throttle.
Demon Throttle, okay, so a continuation of Devolver just taking jokes to their absolute limit. This trailer was for the Doinksoft's new game, the developers of Gato Roboto, who, that's a great game. The gimmick with this one is apparently that it's so futuristic, it isn't getting a digital release. It's only physical because that's the future now. And I don't know, man, it looks fine. It's like an 8-bit co-op kind of shmuppy kind of game. It looked fun enough. My only worry with this one, to be honest, is that as far as I can see, it's only getting a physical release in the US, which means it'll be impossible to get anywhere else unless you import it. So that's a bit rough because they make good games and I would like to check it out.
Yeah, that's the thing about this one. I mean, the gimmick of it being physical only is obviously mainly a joke, which is now happening. But I loved Gato Roboto, so I would actually like to play this. So I hope it gets a physical release over. I hope it gets a digital release eventually, or just so everybody can play it. But yeah, certainly looks like a decent time. And, the Gato Roboto guys know what they're doing. How about some Devolver overall thoughts then?
Yeah, okay, Devolver overall thoughts. I mean, I'm going to go a bit bigger on this one because I actually caught up on the entire history of Devolver conferences this week somehow in amongst all the other content we've had to cover, because Devolver don't do normal conferences. They have some kind of continuous story that's going through these whole things. And let me tell you guys, it's friggin' incredible. Like, if anyone's not checked out Devolver, just go right back to 2017 and just watch them all leading up to this one, because they're absolutely fantastic. They're just a weird yearly event that I will now be excited for every year.
It's the best part of E3 for me. Every single year is watching the Devolver conference. I was there in 2017 when Nina Struthers made her debut, just throwing people's hands into screens and people being shot on stage. And I was just completely invested in it from that point forward. And I followed it each year. This year was fantastic as ever. Just very funny. Just this particular year, taking the piss out of Game Pass of all things. So, it's just a hell of a... I just enjoy them every year. Fantastic. Ubisoft Rainbow Six Extraction.
All right, yeah, a bit of a come down after Devolver. Let's go to Ubisoft and let's go to Rainbow Six Extraction. Look, I just don't know who this is for. This is a really weird game. I know Rainbow Six Siege is a big success, really good multiplayer game. The old Rainbow Sixes were big successes, serious tactical shooters. It just feels like they're just trying to follow the trend here. All of a sudden we get Extraction, which used to be called Quarantine, but that's obviously a very bad name now. And this is just one of those games where you just team up and go and shoot some zombie type monsters. That's it. It's just another Left 4 Dead type game, which we'll be getting to quite a few of as we go through this event.
Yeah, it's just Ubisoft chasing trends as ever.
Yep.
I mean, it looks perfectly serviceable. I mean, they don't make many terrible games, don't Ubisoft? I'm sure this will be perfectly fine, but it's just, after Rainbow Six Siege and the fan base that captured and got, I thought they'd go somewhere more interesting with this.
Exactly.
Than yet another team-based shooter.
Yeah,
I
the
can't
shooting
say
will be good, though. The shooting will be good because
the shooting will be great. Rocksmith Plus.
Rocksmith Plus, look, this is a cool idea. It feels more like, it's basically an educational device rather than anything else. So Rocksmith is effectively a game that you actively plug a real guitar into with like an amp style cable, and it teaches you real guitar stuff. And this one looks elaborate as hell. This looks like a fantastic resource to learn guitar. Now, my only issue is I'm, of course, not going to learn guitar. So I can't find the time to do that. So, but if I was learning guitar, I'd be picking this up. It looks really cool.
Yeah, I think if you want to learn guitar, this looks fantastic. If you just want to play another Rock Band Guitar Hero game, then you continue to be shit out of luck.
Yeah.
Why isn't that franchise being brought back? I love those things. You know how expensive it is to buy a peripheral for those things now?
Yeah, it would be cheaper to buy a real guitar and play Rocksmith Plus and learn how to play guitar than it would be to play a Rock Band by trying to find the old devices. It's ridiculous, but yeah.
What a disaster. Riders Republic, speaking of disasters.
Riders Republic. All right, this is out 2nd of September, and it's just steep without snow, right? That's exactly what Riders Republic is. It's steep, but instead of snowboarding, well, actually, snowboarding's still there, but you now also have bicycles and skateboards, and there's some stuff on the ground. It's got all the other things in there that Steep had, like wingsuits and jetpacks and paragliding. Those all kind of sucked in Steep. They're going to suck in this too. I don't know, it looks like they've made some improvements from the days of Steep, but my worry is that a lot of these elements, the whole game needs to be about that. Like, I have no level of confidence that they can make skateboarding good in this game when it's like 1/8 of the control types.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And the time when they panned out and showed me a map filled with checkpoints, I nearly shit myself on the spot with disappointment that this is literally yet another Ubisoft game.
Yeah,
If
of course.
every single time I saw a checkpoint in Ubisoft, I shat myself, I'd run out of trousers. Far Cry 6.
Oh, Far Cry 6. I mean, we've seen this so much lately. I just feel like I've seen enough of Far Cry 6 now. I'm sure it'll be good. It's a typical Ubisoft game. You've got what is there even to say? They showed another scene with I forget his name now, the Giancarlo Esposito. Yeah, his dictator character. It looked fine. Weirdly, the facial animations look shockingly bad for what is quite a high budget game. But other than that, it looked fairly good. Yeah, man. I don't know. Just whatever.
It's just Far Cry, isn't it? It's more checkpoints and bases to conquer, and I'm sure it'll be fine. But who can care at this point? I mean, they're doing some villains DLC because the Far Cry series. I mean, they overbigged how popular the villains are, but I suppose they are the most interesting part.
I mean, people only really like the Far Cry 3 guy, I think, and you're going to play as the ones from 4 and 5 too here. I don't think people care about them, but whatever. Sure.
How about Just Dance 2022? And I'm assuming just that song they played.
Yeah, I mean, this entire trailer was they just spoke to some guy. I think he was called Todrick Hall. I don't know him. I'm an old person, and his song is in the game. He's made new lyrics for the song, especially for Just Dance, and apparently these lyrics are going to be really empowering, and they're going to make you all feel great about yourself. So, if you do feel a bit bad about yourself, apparently Just Dance 2022 is the game for you on November 4th. Enjoy that. I will not be playing that. The big news here, though, is this is the first time I think that Just Dance is not coming to the Wii. Just Dance is finally skipping the Wii in the year 2022, which is pretty wild.
That's pretty fantastic. I don't know, man. I don't have much to say about this. I thought the song was okay. Yeah. It's in like a modern, more uplifting version of Back, Sack, and Crack. And you can kind of take what you will from that. I guess it's nice that the kids have a new Back and Sack song to dance to. That's lovely. Mario and Rabbids sparks of truth following on from that.
Oh, sparks of hope, you mean? But I wish we had more time here because we've lost a lot of this laughing at that. Right, Mario and Rabbids, the first one was fantastic. I'm really looking forward to another one. If anything, I was a bit disappointed this leaked before the conference because I need the wins wherever I can find them on a Ubisoft conference, and this would have been one if it was a surprise. More Mario and Rabbids kind of strategy gameplay. It's like XCOM, but not stressful. This one's based on kind of Mario Galaxy a lot more. You've got like weird Rabbid versions of the stars and of Rosalina. I mean, I kind of hate Rabbids, and I just think these games are great. They're the only place where Rabbids aren't completely insufferable. So, very excited. I think this will be really good.
Yeah, I echo those thoughts. I'm a big fan of the first Mario and Rabbids game. Thought it was very enjoyable. Think this looks to be continuing in that same vein. Looks good, looks decent. Love all the new Rabbid versions of Galaxy-esque characters. Yeah, I'm pretty hyped for this. 2022, Bryn, it's on. Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora.
Okay, so we're continuing this strange cycle where people just insist that Avatar's a big deal. Despite all evidence to the contrary. Like this was the show closer, the closing announcement. Like if Mario and Rabbids hadn't leaked, that should have surely been the end of the show. But instead, we're all meant to pretend that somebody cares about Avatar, a thing that had one film about 12 years ago. It's just crazy. I don't know. I mean, we don't know anything about the game yet. It's been made by Massive, I think, the Division people. So sure, all right. We don't know anything beyond the cinematic. It's coming out in 2022. I just don't know who's meant to care about Avatar, Josh.
I thought everybody hated Avatar. I mean, to be fair to it, I think it lends itself well to Ubisoft.
Yeah.
If you was to say to me, who should make an Avatar game, I'd probably say Ubisoft.
Oh, yeah. Viewpoints all over the place.
Yeah, you can take what you will from that, because let me tell you, that was not a compliment. I have absolutely no hype for this game. Can't say I want to play it, but it's coming, whether I like it or not dislike those Avatar movies. Overall thoughts on Ubisoft.
Yeah, I thought this was fine considering it's Ubisoft. Mario and Rabbids is a really fun announcement. Rocksmith Plus is kind of a cool little unexpected thing. It's nice that that's coming out. Avatars, I guess it's interesting in some respects that got re-revealed, but yeah, I don't know. I have low standards for Ubisoft. I thought this managed to do okay considering those, but it certainly wasn't a good show.
I felt it was a bit long for the amount of fins that it showed. I mean, it ran about an
Yeah.
hour. They showed about 7 or 8 different fins, and most of them were just updates on games which we already knew about.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know if it needed to happen, but then again, Ubisoft in general, I'm not entirely certain it needs to happen.
Yeah, I
So,
mean,
who could go?
I think you can take this conference out and just give the Mario and Rabbids announcement to Nintendo, and I'm overall happier with the week.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was perfectly watchable. I mean, compared to sodding Capcom and Namco, Christ. Square Enix, Guardians of the Galaxy.
All right, Guardians of the Galaxy. I thought this was a pretty cool reveal, and I'm really impressed that they managed to keep this under wraps because this game's out pretty soon. It's out in October, so that's really good. Yeah, just a Guardians of the Galaxy game, obviously completely separate from the MCU. It's got kind of Square Enix's, off-brand serial design versions of the characters again, but that's fine. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm glad that this is a single-player game, fully single-player. You play as Star-Lord, you kind of command the team around as you fight. That's good. I like that it doesn't have any live service elements. Really happy with that. And yeah, I mean, this has been made by the guys who made the Deus Ex games, so I trust them to make something good.
Yeah, I actually think this looks pretty okay. I think this looked pretty fun. It's got a lot of the irreverent humor of the franchise, which I like about it. I was a little bit worried when they kept demanding them to do things that they said the same sodding line every single time, but hopefully that will be ironed out.
Yeah.
It looks like a serviceable third-person shooter, but again, coming really soon, that did surprise me. Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster.
Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster. Yeah, this was a weird announcement. I don't really get what was happening. They basically just showed a quick scan of Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So all of the NES and Super Nintendo era games. I mean, a Pixel Remaster, as far as I can tell, is just the original games because they were pixels. Maybe they've added widescreen support, but that could be it. The one thing that kind of disappointed me with this is that apparently this is coming to Steam and mobile only. And I feel like this is tailor-made for like the Switch or something. You know, if you're going to make remasters of these that are in the original form, I want them on the Switch.
Well, exactly. I mean, I only brought this up because I want them to be. All I need is pixel perfect remasters in widescreen of the first 6 Final Fantasy games on my Nintendo Switch. Yeah. So I'm basically using this as a platform to say, Square Enix, can you get around to doing that? Because I don't want to play them on my phone. I want to play them on my big, stupid Switch, for God's sake. Legend of Mana.
Legend of Mana. So I love Secret of Mana from this series, so I'm somewhat excited to play this. This is apparently the 4th game in the series. It came out on the PS1 in 1999. I think it's a pretty faithful re-release of that one with, a few little tweaks. It's not a full rework. I'm pretty excited to play it at some point. I'm not sure when I'll get around to it. I do think it's really weird the way they treat this series because they had Trials of Mana, the 3rd game in the series, last year, and they gave that a full 3D remaster. And then you get this one, which is just kind of a repackage of the PS1 version. I don't know why they're not doing a consistent trend there, but yeah, look good.
Probably because they're going to sell you a proper remaster about 2 or 3 years down the line, to be fair. It looks fine. By all accounts, Legend of Mana is one of the more obtuse of the Mana series. So I think a lot of people are going to be somewhat surprised when they get to this and find it's not as conventional an RPG as they were expecting from the Secret of Mana team. But yeah, it looks kind of fun. I'll probably pick it up. Babylon's Fall.
Babylon's Fall, Platinum Games. I adore Platinum Games. I think they make the best combat in gaming with Bayonetta and Nier Automata, stuff like that. I think this looks shit, Josh, to be honest. I did not think this looked very fluid at all. It did not look Platinum. It looked very kind of C-team, maybe like some group of little Platinum interns somewhere. Not very impressed with that. I've also heard it's a live service game, which can absolutely get in the bin for Platinum Games. I do not want them going anywhere near that kind of stuff. Yeah, just a pretty depressing reveal.
I didn't think it looked very good, and yet I find myself hard to criticize it because I kind of expect it will end up being good. I don't think Platinum have ever really put out a particularly bad game. So I'd be surprised if this is going to break that duck. I guess we'll see. It didn't look fantastic. I didn't like the sound of the live service stuff, but I have so much faith in the studio that surely it can't be that bad.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm somewhat worried, but yeah, we'll see. I do trust them as well. So yeah, we'll see.
Life is Strange Remastered Collection.
All right, this is a package of Life is Strange 1 and Before the Storm, which was kind of a kind of additional spin-off game where you played as Chloe, who was like Max's friend in the first game. I mean, I don't know, man. It looked fine. I really like Life is Strange 1. I think it's a good game. This is a remaster, and they tried to really highlight that by showing these before and after shots. Basically looked the same. There was very little different. I don't know why they're bothering to do that. Yeah, I don't know. It might. It's Life is Strange 1 is worth a play if you like your kind of walkie-talkie narrative games, but this remaster is pretty meh. And the spin-off game Before the Storm was made by a totally separate team, so I don't massively love that either.
Yeah, I thought this looked like a fairly average remastering job, and couldn't they have lobbed in Life is Strange 2 as well?
Yeah, might as
You
well.
might as well just sell the whole damn franchise in one big package. At least then you've got some value coming out of it, because the games aren't that old. You could just play them on an old console.
Yeah.
I don't know. Life is Strange True Colors.
Life is Strange True Colors, the new game. So yeah, this is obviously starring a new character. All the Life is Strange games have people have like different powers. In this one, she's an empath and she can kind of tell what people are feeling, which helps her kind of figure out people's secrets and sort of figure stuff out from there. Yeah, it's another walkie-talkie kind of game. You're gonna go around, you're gonna make decisions based on what people say and do, and go through the story. It looks all right, man. I mean, I do quite like these games. I'll probably play it at some point, but I'm not expecting it to be like amazing. It'll be like a solid 7 out of 10, something fine if you fancy it. But yeah, not going to bring in new fans, I don't think.
Yeah, I continue to find myself thinking that the power of empathy as a gameplay hook is vomit-inducing. And I don't think this game is doing much to dissuade me from that. I don't see it being anything other than sycophantic and sickly sweet. But we'll see. I thought it looked okay in the gameplay they showed, and maybe that's eased those fears somewhat for me. Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origins,
Chaos. Yeah, so this is Team Ninja of Ninja Gaiden fame doing a Final Fantasy action game. I mean, that sounds awesome. It's kind of set in the Final Fantasy 1 universe. It's got Garland in, who was like a big bad from that game. That's a pretty cool hook. This trailer was just weird nonsense, man. The whole thing was just this man being really fucking angry about chaos. You're just like, I'm gonna kill chaos. Where's chaos? My entire life is about chaos. It's so weird. He'd run into someone. His first line would be, "Are you chaos?" It's just like it was absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing more on it. There's a demo on PS5 as well. So if you want to go and fight some chaos, you can check that out. I don't know. Team Ninja make good action games, so optimistic, I guess.
They write terrible stories, but they make great action games. I mean, why is he just asking, "Are you chaos?" Does he not know what chaos looks like? Come on, man. Does he just go to everybody, "Are you chaos?" I mean, like you'd say yes. Christ. Anyway, overall thoughts, Square Enix.
I thought this was a decent show. It was fairly short, which really helped it. The whole thing only ran for, I think, 40 minutes. About 20 of that was Guardians of the Galaxy. You could have maybe cut 5 minutes off that. But of all the conferences we've said so far, I think this is comfortably the best one, really, if only because of Guardians of the Galaxy and I guess the really funny chaos stuff at the end. Those were definitely the highlights, but those were the start and the finish of it. So I'm happy enough. It's not great, but after suffering through some of those ones we've already talked about, this was at least a slight uptick from there.
I quite enjoyed this. I thought this was all right. Guardians looked fun. We got a really big gameplay demo as well, which I appreciated. And I think that Final Fantasy Origins game is going to be fantastic. I honestly do. I think it's going to be great. So I can't wait to hang out with my buddy Chaos. I'd love if he just accidentally meant to say Chows the entire time.
He just hates Chows.
It's just a massive Chow appears at the end. That would be fantastic. Chows. Anyway, Xbox and Bethesda,
Starfield, okay. I mean, good way to start the show. I'll give them that. I think Starfield, obviously, everyone's really excited about it. This was just a nothing trailer, though. Let's be honest. It was just a look of some spacey places and a rocket. It was apparently all in engine, so it looked cinematic quality, but they insist the game can look like that, and I kind of believe that. Yeah, fine, whatever. The big thing here was that they made a real point afterwards of saying this is an exclusive Xbox game. You are not getting this on PlayStation consoles. So yeah, there's that, and it's out in November 2022.
I admire them for basically doing the beginning of Deliver Us the Moon and now calling it just this giant AAA video game. I don't know, man. I think what can you say about this? It's a teaser trailer.
Yeah, we don't know anything about it.
After we had that teaser about 2 years ago, nothing is coming out of this. For a game which is coming out next year, apparently, that's not a lot to show. But, I'm sure it'll be perfectly... it'll be crap, probably. Anyway, Stalker 2.
Stalker 2. All right. So this out in April 2022. It's coming to Xbox and PC first, so it will be out on other consoles later. There's been rumors that exclusivity is only for 3 months, so that's not bad to wait for if you want to for PlayStation. Look, it looks really good. Like graphically, it looks fantastic. This is one to check out on the 4K version of the show if you want to really see it looking good. It's just a bit bloody miserable though, isn't it, Josh? Like, I mean, it reminds me just entirely of Metro. It's just a bunch of people having a bloody awful time in like a post-apocalyptic kind of ruined area, and I don't know. I think it looks great. Like, well, it looks pretty, but I don't really want to play it.
I thought this was the best game Xbox showed. I thought this looked fantastic. I wasn't sold on this game at all up until then, mainly because they just showed teeth and guns. But now I'm finally fully invested in this. Got a lot of the vibes of the movie Stalker as well, which is a big hype for me and my love of Russian cinema.
Man,
so maybe I
shouldn't have wasted your time.
Yeah, you've killed me here. Back for Blood.
Back for Blood. Very sorry about that. Back for Blood. This is Left 4 Dead by the Left 4 Dead original developers. So quite excited for this. In a sea of people making way too many Left 4 Dead games, at least this one is somewhat authentic, which is nice. This is going to be a day one Game Pass game on October 12th, so that's pretty awesome. Looking forward to it. Should be good fun.
Yeah, I actually think the monster design looked a bit more impressive in this one. Some of the more terrifying things which are chasing you looked a bit more fun and varied than they did in the initial reveal trailer for this. I think it'll be okay. I'm glad it's coming to Game Pass because I didn't particularly want to buy this and now I don't necessarily have to. So that's a welcome boon, if absolutely nothing else. Yeah, I think there's something to get excited about here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I always like Left 4 Dead. It's the kind of game that, I don't know. I wish I played more of at the time. I think I kind of let it pass me by a bit, but it was always really fun to just pick up and just blast out like one campaign in sort of half an hour. So if this has the same vibe, then yeah, very much looking forward to that.
Contraband. What the fuck is this?
Yep, Contraband. This is a collaboration between Xbox Game Studios and Avalanche, who make Just Cause. It's an Xbox exclusive. It's going to be on Game Pass day one when it comes out, but we don't know when that is. As far as I can tell, I think this is just Cause, though, really. I mean, the only thing they showed in the trailer was this kind of garage and someone was fixing up a truck. And there was plans on the table to steal a big kind of safe full of stuff from some kind of building. Had kind of cartel vibes to it to an extent. So I kind of think it's just going to be a Just Cause game. I don't know why it's not. It's almost like Microsoft, want to own it. So it's not Just Cause, it's Contraband. It just seems really weird. Not for me, really.
It's an odd one. I think it's meant to be a co-op game. I think it's going to have a lot of heist elements to it. So depending on how much you want to do that, fantastic. But they didn't show us a lot here. Let's be honest. This was just a bit of a tech demo, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Sea of Thieves, A Pirate's Life.
All right, Sea of Thieves, A Pirate's Life. This is going to be pretty much out near enough when the podcast comes out. It's coming out June 22nd for free. This is a collaboration between Sea of Thieves and Pirates of the Caribbean. So you got like your Jack Sparrow stuff. Davy Jones is in it. Gotta say, man, I mean, I rinsed Summer Games Fest for having stupid collaborations that make no sense. This is a collaboration that makes perfect sense. I'm entirely on board for this. I mean, apparently it's just a big full campaign. You go and do like story missions to do with all these characters. And yeah, it's a free download, man. I mean, I think this is awesome. I really do like this.
Yeah, I actually thought this looked quite fun. I almost want this to be a more single-player focused slab of Sea of Thieves content. I imagine it's still going to be very much the 4-player teams kind of vibe of the original game, which is a shame because I think there's a lot of joy to be had in this collab. I kind of see where they're coming from with it. I think it makes a lot of sense. Probably bring a bit more life and joy to this game, which, maybe never had enough personality as it probably should have done. So yeah, I'm a fan of this. Battlefield 2042.
Battlefield 2042. I mean, they showed some multiplayer from this. This out October 22nd. I think the most impressive thing about this is that it's a 128-player game. That's pretty mad. I think it's only 64-player if you play on last generation consoles, but that's fair enough. I don't know, man. It looks like a normal near future military shooter. Not really for me. They're really trying to highlight these weather effects. It's kind of got like sandstorms and tornadoes and stuff that are like chucking things around. I don't know. It looks fine. I'm sure there's fans of this, but I don't like the near future setting. It kind of kills me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's fine. The weather effects didn't do Just Cause 4 any help. So I don't know if they can help Battlefield 2042. It looks perfectly playable. DICE just doing multiplayer makes sense to me because it's what they're best at. And I think it's what most Battlefield fans probably want anyway. So everybody's kind of getting what they want except for me, who wants a single-player campaign. Psychonauts 2.
Psychonauts 2. So we obviously spoke about this one on the show before, Psychonauts 1 at least, and we said it was quite disappointing, really. We built it up in our heads as something amazing, and it didn't quite pan out. It just wasn't that great. So yeah, I mean, this looks better. I think it'll benefit from being an actual modern game. We came at Psychonauts when it was ancient, really. So I think they're going to do well to kind of give this one a lot of personality, a lot of mad stuff, because obviously you're playing inside people's minds. The gameplay looked really varied. There was all kinds of weird stuff going on, like pachinko machines and bowling and just different weird environments. I don't know. Looking forward to playing it. It's day one Game Pass, August 25th. So yeah, we'll see.
We'll see what this is like. As you said, the fact it's day one Game Pass, big help, big hint. But it kind of makes me more excited for this than I probably would be. I think this looks fine. I don't know if it's massively any different to the Xbox Classic. I think it looks almost like it's doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they've updated the gameplay at all, but we'll see. Maybe it'll be good. Fallout 76, Steel Rain.
Yeah, Fallout 76 is still a thing, amazingly. They came out on this and said that apparently Fallout 76 is doing fantastic in Game Pass. It's one of the most played Game Pass games, and that's cool. I think Game Pass is a good setting for it. And for what it's worth, I think they've done a pretty good job of reviving Fallout 76 because it was a train wreck at launch. They have listened to fans. They have changed the game quite a lot. It's still not for me. I don't want to play my Fallout in a world full of other players. I want to be able to change more about the world as I play it, and you can't do that here. So yeah, this is a Brotherhood of Steel expansion. They do say there's loads of big decisions you can make, but I don't buy it because I can't change the surface of this world. Everyone else has to play that campaign too and make the same choices. So whatever, but it's free, July 7th free, so that's good.
I mean, it's more Fallout 76. If you're still the sort of person who can give this game the time of day, then by all means, give it a shot. I think they've got another expansion coming as well soon after.
Yeah.
They're supporting it. That's all you can say.
Exactly,
at least they're keeping it going. Party Animals.
Party Animals. This is a console launch exclusive, apparently coming out in 2022. So I guess there'll be some timed exclusivity. Why in the blue hell you would waste money on the timed exclusivity for what is just some wacky, stupid little fighting game where everyone's just like a mess. I don't know. This just seems like a weird get. So basically, it looks like if Smash Brothers was made by the people who make those wanky physics games where the characters don't control properly. Like I don't know why. I don't need that. I don't want that. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is for someone. I thought it looked bloody miserable.
Yeah, this is a Gambeasts ripoff. If you've ever played that game, which is all about just lobbing somebody off the stage, basically. Yeah. And it looks perfectly fine. I thought the characters look quite cute. All the little things you can play as, be it an otter or a tiger or whatever. It looks like it's charming and family friendly. And I'm all for Game Pass offering breadth and variety. Yeah. And this, if nothing else, is offering breadth and variety, even if I can't say I'm going to play it. Hades,
all right, coming to Xbox on August 13th. This is a cool get. This is obviously in Game Pass on day one, as is almost everything we spoke about here. Look, Hades kicks ass, man. I've not found enough time to really get into it yet. I've played about 2 hours of this on Switch, and I've really enjoyed that time. But just, we've been doing this bloody podcast, man. When are you going to find the time to play Hades? Like, come on. But I will be playing more of Hades. I may well play it on Xbox now because the Switch one is a little rough for me. Yeah, excited for this.
Yeah, it's very cool that it's coming day one into Game Pass for everybody who hasn't picked it up on the Nintendo Switch. It's a roguelike, so my enjoyment is tempered somewhat, but by all accounts, this is one of the very best of the genre with some fantastic storytelling, fantastic music, gorgeous art style, really slick and smooth combat. There's a lot to enjoy in Hades, and I think for this coming into Xbox day one is really cool. It's a fantastic pickup for the service. And yeah, if we were still doing the show, I'd have definitely been picking this up on Xbox and giving it a go when it launched. Somerville. All right. This is a inside/limbo kind of game. It's coming out in 2022. Obviously, again, day one Game Pass. This is actually, it's made by a new studio that was founded by the co-creator of the Inside Limbo studio. So even though it's that kind of game, I can kind of forgive them for making it because they were involved in those. It looks pretty cool. You're kind of playing as a family in this kind of abandoned world. There's some kind of creepy, spacey alien stuff going on. Looks really intense. I just don't know if I'm going to be bothered about this. I'm a bit over these games. Yeah, I'm struggling to remember even anything about this trailer. I mean, there's a lot of games on this list, and this is probably the one I'm struggling to remember the most of. I seem to remember there being a family, and they were watching TV. Yeah. And I don't know. That sounds nice. It's the intro to The Simpsons. Yeah, it cut to like lots of them like running away, and there was these big purple shards smashing down, and there was like a lot of action happening around them. It looked quite dynamic, but yeah, it's going to be like an inside type game, so we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Halo Infinite.
Halo Infinite. Okay, so they showed a new trailer for the campaign here. I thought it looked really cool. It was a great trailer. Introduced us to a kind of new AI partner that Chief's going to be working with. Really like that. It was really cool. Then they cut to the multiplayer, which I thought looked fantastic. I haven't played much multiplayer in a while, like for shooting games, really, but I will jump back into some Halo multiplayer. It just looked really, really kind of sharp, but also very nostalgic, very much taking the best of Halo so far and pushing it into it. And it's free to play the multiplayer too, so that's really cool.
Yeah, I found this was interesting that this opened with them showing off the developer they lured back into the studio to fix the absolute mess that was this game about a year ago. So let's see how he's done sorting that out. I thought this was a much more impressive showing there for Halo than last time out. It looks a bit smoother. Looks like they've used the time wisely. And yeah, that free-to-play multiplayer is pretty cool. It's good that everybody can give it a go, even if you don't have a gold subscription. So one of the big tentpole releases this December, probably. Diablo 2 Resurrected.
Diablo 2 Resurrected. This is the only game in this entire set that isn't coming to Game Pass, which is quite weird. So September 23rd, 2021, this is out. Just a full remake of Diablo 2. It's got that really cool thing that I love from these kind of games where you can tap a button and it instantly changes between the old and the new art style. The Halo releases do that. I love it. But yeah, my only issue with this is I just don't know if there's any point in playing this for people who aren't already a fan of Diablo 2, like, because it looks a bit rough and slow and old, because it is. You know, it's a perfect remake of that version of the game. And I don't know, man, why wouldn't I just play a newer game? I don't know.
Yeah, my main question whilst watching this was, why don't I just play Diablo 3?
Yeah.
Like, because you might as well. So this is very much a nostalgia hit. I mean, people do have nostalgia for this game. So if you wanted to replay it, here it is in glorious HD. They look like they've done a good job on the remaster, if absolutely nothing else.
Yeah, I agree.
One to check out, I'd say. A Plague Tale Requiem.
Okay, this is out in 2022. Pretty big surprise. I didn't see this getting a sequel, really, and also day one Game Pass, which is an awesome get. A Plague Tale Innocence, the first game, which is, I think it's still in Game Pass. Did it leave? I'm not too sure.
No, still there.
Still there. A very, very good game. Well worth checking out. I really like it. So yeah, just really cool to see it getting a sequel. We don't know much about the sequel yet. This was very much just a quick cinematic teaser, but really cool announcement.
They had all those rats on display, just giant waves of rats. Imagine these new consoles, how many goddamn rats they're going to be able to render. I mean, I loved the original one of this game, and I'm thrilled it's getting a sequel. Day one into Game Pass as well, along with Stalker. This was one of my most hyped announcements from this Xbox conference. I think the first game is brilliant, wonderful storytelling, wonderful setting. Very hyped to see it get a sequel. And yeah, 2022 can't come soon enough. 2022 is looking like a stacked year for Xbox. That is one thing you can take from this conference. Replaced. Another console launch exclusive, so probably timed. Again, day one Game Pass. This is a kind of cyberpunk detective kind of deal. Beautiful 2D pixel art style with kind of depth to it. So there's people on different layers of it. It looks fantastic. And also it kind of cut to some combat, and the combat looked very slick considering the kind of the style of this game and the way the animation plays out. It looked pretty awesome. I don't know. I'm quite excited for this. I don't know how it'll play out in the full game, but this was a great trailer. I think it looks really good. I think a lot of people are highlighting this as one of the games of the show, actually. And I'm not going to completely disagree, because there's a lot to get excited about here. Gorgeous art style, gorgeous art direction. Looks like it's got a more fluid combat system than I expected it would have. If you can bring all those disparate elements together, coming day one into Game Pass as well, this could be a bit of a sleeper hit.
Yeah, I agree.
This could be a surprising pickup here.
I think if it plays like that trailer, it's going to be great. I'm just a bit pessimistic if it will.
Absolutely. Slime Rancher 2, have you ever been so glad we're giving up this challenge?
Man, right, I've got my notes up here, man, and one of my notes says, "Thank God the challenge is over." Because I was like, I don't want to play more Slime Rancher. I've already done a shift at the ranch. I can't do more. Look, Slime Rancher is a cool little weird game. You know, it's like a farming sim, but you collect these slimes and you kind of feed them, and then they poop out some stuff that's money. That's literally what happens. It's really weird. I mean, I it's from what I can tell, the first game's done well in Game Pass. It's got a lot of fans, so good for them. You know, sequels come in day one Game Pass 2022. Yeah, good for them. But my God, I'm not going to touch this.
No, it's just a game which is very much not for us, even though I do think it has very cute art style and some nice ideas. And it's quite a charming little indie title, but it's definitely not one I wanted to play the original of. And the sequel just seems to be doing the same thing, but bigger. Yeah. And that's fine if you're a fan of the franchise. I'm sure that'll be perfectly good. Shredders.
Shredders, a game about snowboarding, not about being a bad guy from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, I don't know. This looked fine. I thought it just looked really serviceable. Like the snowboarding looked like the snowboarding you could do in Steep, which is not a compliment, sadly. Yeah, I don't know. I think this game needs to be more. Something needs to happen. They need to show another trailer that shows why Shredders is worth playing over all the different extreme sports games, because this just left me a bit cold. I thought it just looked like an absolute basic bare bones snowboarding game.
I thought this looked really dull. Yeah. And I think the fact they said at the end it was a snowboarding game made by snowboarders, then these must be the least cool snowboarders I've ever met, because they just seem to lack any form of personality. Yeah. It didn't have any form of music behind it. All the tricks look dull. I mean, the name makes me think it's called Shredders every single damn time. This was like a bowl of Shredders of a video game trailer.
I'd rather play a snowboarding game developed by game developers, but what can you do?
What can you do? Atomic Heart.
Atomic Heart is bloody mental, Josh. I don't know what this is. It's so weird. Just this trailer is just mad. It just looked like a bunch of different games. There's this crazy kind of Europop soundtrack going over it all. There's like demons and robots that look like they're made of Lego, and really creepy kind of like mannequin dolls come to life. I think it's a cyberpunk game, but it's got like post-apocalyptic elements. I don't know what this is. It's insane. It's weird. I don't know what's happening, Josh.
I can't tell you what's happening. I can tell you that it's probably not going to be very good, but I kind of want to play it.
Yeah,
there's something about it that makes me want to give it a go, but it just looked a bit weird, didn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know, and I like weird. Christ, we're reviewing Killer 7 in a few days' time, but
yeah, this looks odd. I would say, obviously, it is a day one Game Pass title, so that's really cool, because that lets us try it, and if it's a mess, it's a mess, and we can just turn it off, so that's good.
That's always good to know. How about some Among Us updates?
Yeah, Among Us updates. Among Us continues to be a gigantic success of a game that I can't be arsed with, because it involves other people too much, and I don't want to play with other people that much. Now you can play with even more other people, as it is launching a 15-player game mode where there's 3 imposters rather than just the 1. That sounds really fun. That sounds really cool. Yeah, I don't know. This is just, it's good that it's getting more content, more updates. I know the team working on this have had a pretty stressful time since the game got big, because it was like only made by 3 people, and all of a sudden it was the biggest game in the world, and they all really struggled with that. So I don't know, good to see that, they're managing to get more content out, and that they're all doing well. So yeah, cool.
Yeah, good for Among Us. I just wonder when the bubble's going to burst and the internet's going to find its next new game. Something like this can only be popular for so long, and maybe Xbox is actually getting this game a little bit too late. I dare say most people who wanted to play it have played it, enjoyed it, and are now looking for something new. But glad it's still being successful. Grounded, Shroom and Doom.
Grounded, Shroom, and Doom. So this is obviously just an update to Grounded. They're adding stuff like sitting down, which the trailer insists people have been desperate for. So fair enough. You can now sit down. You can have pets. They're adding like new caves with these friggin' awful giant spiders. They look like the worst. Yeah, I'm glad this game has that weird arachnophobia mode where you can turn off how spidery the spiders look, because that thing's bloody horrible. So there's that. And they're adding achievements, which is nice. So it's kind of, crawling its way out of early access, basically, is what's happening here. All that's happening on June 30th. So if you like Grounded, there you go. It's not my thing. It's too much crafting, but yeah, that's cool.
I don't think we're ever going to see the single-player components of Grounded be expanded out upon. I think it's found its niche as a multiplayer title, and it's going to very happily sit within it. Continues to have a very good sense of humor. I like Obsidian's sense of humor, and the giant, terrifying blob even being scary was quite true, because it still freaked me out. How about 12 minutes?
12 minutes, man. This looks really cool. This is obviously that Annapurna game that's been in the making for a long time. I've seen loads of teasers for this for ages. You are in an apartment on a 12-minute time loop. Some kind of death happens. You get told you did it. You don't think you did do it. It's got a really good cast. It's got like Daisy Ridley, James McAvoy, Willem Dafoe. So yeah, just really excited, man. Very excited that this is day one Game Pass. That's awesome. So we will be playing this in August, 19th of August. It's going to be great.
Yeah, really looking forward to this. This will definitely be featuring in the Games of the Month special in Pixel Mix because I've been looking forward to this for a long time. And I just think it looks fantastic. Top tier voice cast, gorgeous art direction, and a man. They don't make bad games. Like it's almost just nailed on that it's going to be pretty much worth playing. So yeah, what a pickup this is for Game Pass filled with this.
Yeah, absolutely. Very excited for it. I think it's just going to be one of those games where, like, it probably won't be too long, but I think it's going to be really memorable. It's going to really stick with you. So, yeah, I'm very excited for that.
A Whedon Chronicle Rising.
Ooh, I'm glad you took the first stab at saying a Whedon or Whedon because I don't know what the hell that is. Yeah, this is weird because this was the second game they announced from the series. We will get to the first one in a second, but this one's coming out first. So this is out in 2022, and it's a hack and slash kind of spin-off game of this new series, which we've never heard of. They showed about 4 seconds of this, and it looked rough as hell. But there you go, it's happening. You're gonna, get to know about the world of Eden Chronicle before you play the other game.
Yeah, I mean, this feels like it's going for like a blood-stained ritual of the night kind of thing when they did that tiny version of it before the next game launched. I think it's a cool idea. I mean, I hope it's good, but certainly nobody was backing this for this particular game. They were backing it for the giant JRPG, which is a Suikoden spiritual successor. So this is a welcome bonus coming into Game Pass as well. Very cool. So we'll see what it's like. And let me take another stab at it with Uiden Chronicle 100 Heroes.
All right, Uiden Chronicle 100 Heroes. So this is out in 2023. Big RPG game. Kind of going for that Octopath Traveler style where it's like beautiful HD graphics, but it's like 2D places with depth to them. It looked okay. I mean, I actually initially watching this trailer thought it looked really shit. Like I thought it looked really low budget, really janky. I actually wrote a note saying, is this some kind of Kemco game being like Alvastia Chronicles? But then I did kind of cut them a bit of slack because as it went on, there was some really cool looking battle scenes with like great use of 3D elements in a 2D plane. And also it's coming out in 2023. So that's ages away. So obviously this is very, very early footage. I'm going to keep my eye on this. I'm not sold at all yet, but I think I could see a world where they show a trailer for this a few months before releasing it. It looks night and day to what this trailer looked like.
Shall we use the last 7 seconds to try to pronounce the name again?
Uenden
Chronicle 100? The Ascent.
The Ascent. This continues to look like a decent game. We've been seeing The Ascent for what feels like years now. It's basically just a kind of twin stick shooter, kind of in like a cyberpunky world. It looks fine. I don't know, man. I still don't know how this isn't a sequel to that Ruiner game because it looks exactly the same as Ruiner, but apparently it isn't. I don't know. It looks like an obligatory Game Pass 6 to me. That's what I'm seeing. But July 29th, we'll all find out.
Well, I'll find out pretty soon. Yeah, this looks very Ruiner-esque, don't it? I mean, top-down twin-stick shooters are actually a bit of a secret joy of mine when it comes to gaming. So I'm kind of looking forward to giving this a go. I certainly will do with it being day one Game Pass, but I just can't see it being anything spectacular. And so many cyberpunk games end up being derivative of the genre, and I just don't see this being any different. But we'll wait and see. We'll all find out in only a month's time.
Yeah.
Age of Empires 4.
Age of Empires 4. Okay, this is coming out October 28th, 2021. It's only on PC, which I think is a bit of a shame. Like, I know Age of Empires are these big grand strategy, real-time strategy games. So you are going to always be better off with a mouse and keyboard. But I would have appreciated if they could at least kind of shoehorn some control scheme in. And, you can even plug a mouse and keyboard into an Xbox. So I would have liked to see it get an Xbox release. But look, I'm sure this will be good. This series has always been great. It's never been for me. It's a bit too, it takes like literally days to play one match of this thing. So it's a bit heavy for me. But I'm excited for the fans of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's Age of Empires. It's a storied classic franchise. I've always, on the whole, preferred Civilizations. So it's probably not my giant strategy game, but for those who want it, day one into Game Pass for PC is quite cool. Because certainly, if you're going to play it, you're going to want to play it on the PC. But for us console boys, we're just going to have to ignore it and maybe play our next game, The Outer Worlds 2.
Outer Worlds 2. Okay, so this got a bit of a nothing trailer. I thought the trailer was fun enough. It was just kind of lampooning the the different elements that people put into cinematic trailers before they've even got a game and kind of how they use those to get you excited. It was fine, but really it was just a title to say we're making Outer Worlds 2. I thought Outer Worlds 1 had potential. I didn't quite think it lived up to it. It kind of came out more of a 6 out of 10 game for me, maybe a 7 if you play it on the Xbox Series console, because then you don't have horrendous loading times. But yeah, I think a sequel could be good. I do trust Obsidian to make good games.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Christ, they must have expanded their studio because they seem to be working on absolutely everything at the moment. But, glad to see this is coming in. We'll see how it goes. Certainly, the franchise has potential, and I don't think it was quite met with the first game. So maybe they can really take it on to the next level with this one, and we'll see what the Outer Worlds franchise can do. But yeah, funny trailer, to be fair. I did get a little bit of joy out of that trailer. I thought it was a decent laugh. Okay, Microsoft Flight Simulator is coming to console.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty cool, I guess. I think people have been excited for playing some flight sim for a while. This is out on Xbox Series on July 27th. It's obviously not a game for the last-gen consoles, which we haven't seen a lot of yet because they just can't run this. I mean, this thing's going to run at 30 frames a second on the Series X, so you ain't running this on an Xbox One. Yeah, I mean, it looks like a really cool game. I always wanted to try this out. They've managed to literally generate the entire world, like as it really is, and you can fly around the whole thing and look at stuff, like almost as a tourism thing. I think it's amazing. Never mind it even being a game. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
I thought the Top Gun DLC they announced for this looked quite cool as well. Talking about needless collabs. I mean, I've always said I want Microsoft Flight Simulator to have realistic crashes as well, and I continue to want that, even though I know deep down I shouldn't. But until the day they announce a Hindenburg expansion, I'm still not going to be on board with Flight Simulator. I'm waiting for that. I want a bit of Forza Horizon 5.
Yeah, cool reveal this. So out November 9th, this year, very soon now, Forza Horizon is going to Mexico this time. The game literally looks photorealistic. It's bloody ridiculous. I don't know how they managed to do this. And it just looks like more fantastic Forza Horizon stuff. I maintain that this series is the best racing game series you can play today. It's just constantly fantastic. Like exploring the world and just driving around is as fun as anything. And then you've even got the whole racing element on top of that. So yeah, really excited for this. It does look absolutely fantastic.
Love Forza Horizon as a franchise. Really excited for this one as well. I think Mexico is a clever location to choose. It's maybe a little bit derivative of Australia in the sense there's going to be some deserty, sandy kind of areas, but there's a lot of verdant color and life to drive through as well. I think it looks real good. I think the modes look fantastic. The game looks beautiful. So it should be a real showcase for these sodding consoles we've bought and yet to have an excuse for. Really looking forward to this. Would it be better than Guacamelee 2 in the World Cup though? Who knows? Redfall, all right. Redfall was the big show closer here. And it's a new Arcane game coming out summer 2022, exclusive to Xbox consoles. Looks really cool. We don't know much on it yet. It's clearly set in some kind of modern-ish place. There's a kind of vampire cult going on, and you have this team of kind of superpowered people who are fighting back against that. It does have vibes of that kind of like Left 4 Dead stuff that we are seeing a lot of lately, but I think this is going to be quite different. I don't see it being down that path. They've already made a point of saying this is a game that's fully playable and enjoyable in single player, which I don't think Left 4 Dead really is. So excited. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. Arcane only tends to make good stuff. As you say, slightly worried by the co-op elements, but I think the trailer looked really fun. It had a real good, strong sense of self, as all the best Arcane games do. And yeah, vampires. We haven't had many vampires in gaming lately, so maybe there is a bit of novelty value in going back to that. Yeah, cool game to end it on as well. Something a little bit new. Overall thoughts on Xbox's conference then?
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was a really good showing, especially, with the year we've had with game development being really difficult to do and it's been more awkward. There's been delays everywhere. I thought they put on a fantastic conference. Again, a huge Game Pass advertisement. I mean, every game we just talked about, except for Diablo, is day one Game Pass. That's absolutely nuts. That's insane. So, it continues to highlight the value of Game Pass. And I do think we're starting to finally see the table turn. We're finally starting to see the Xbox exclusive library start to creep out from, under the woodwork. And it's looking like they're going to have a bright 2022.
Yeah, 2022 looks pretty strong with Xbox. The proof has always been in the pudding. We're waiting to see if Xbox's talent actually matches up to what they can achieve. Because, some good games came out last year which weren't as good as they could have been. So let's see if they finally actually breach that gap. But I thought this was a good showing for Xbox, and all these Game Pass titles, man, it almost makes you wish we were continuing, except for the fact it absolutely doesn't when Nintendo is adding Kazuya from Tekken into Smash Bros.
Yeah, new Smash Bros. Character, Kazuya from Tekken. Look, this is fine. I think that fighting game characters in Smash is a bit too obvious. I just find it a bit, it's not for me. I just think it's a bit too easy. You know, I like my wacky character, like my Banjo Kazooie, and I want Phoenix Wright. I want that kind of stuff. Like, this looked fine though. They're doing that thing again, I think, where you can use Tekken fighting commands to make him do moves. That's fine. I kind of feel like it was a gimmick that they should have just kept to one character, but they keep doing it with all these different fighting people. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, the trailer was fun because Smash always does fun trailers, so there was that.
Oh, the trailer was so much fun once it just dropping all those lifeless bodies into a volcano. Yeah. Loved Kirby just sneaking on by right at the end, because Kirby always wins in a Sakurai game, because of course he does.
Yep.
Look, it's more Smash characters. I feel we're scraping the barrel, even if Tekken's a huge franchise and Kazuya's a huge character. I mean, you know, but I think we've had enough. No more fighters packs. I think we're good. Astria Ascending.
This is out September 30th. We've seen this in a couple of the showcases before, and it just looks a bit rough to me. I don't know. I know it's got a lot of really good pedigree behind the team making it, a lot of famous RPG names and teams, but I just don't know, man. I just think this looks like a bit of a janky 2D JRPG that looks quite generic. I'm not excited for this one.
No, I mean, it's coming to Game Pass day one, so it's definitely not something we're going to end up playing on the Nintendo Switch, let's be honest. I still find myself just unduly distracted by the length of leg in this game. There's just too much leg to character, and I can't get past it. They could just rename this game Legs Ascending, because that's literally all it is to me. I mean, I'm sure it'll be perfectly fine, but what's going on with the legs?
Yeah, super weird. And plus, when I wrote my first notes for this, I got the name of the game and the developer the wrong way, so I thought the game was called Dear Villagers, and I was like, that's a weird name.
2 Point Campus.
2 Point Campus. Okay, this has been on a ton of shows this week as well, but finally we're talking about it here. Look, this is really cool. 2 Point Hospital is one of the better kind of management sim games that have came out in a while. I really enjoyed it. The only negative of 2 Point Hospital was I thought it, after you've done a few levels, you kind of just understood the formula of how to win the game, and you could do that every time. So I'm hoping that 2 Point Campus has a bit more depth to it. But even if it doesn't, to be honest, just a new kind of idea of where the game is, obviously being university based, will be quite fun. So I'm looking forward to this. I think this will be a good time.
I mean, it's a game not for me, but I do like the idea. I think making your own university is actually a clever idea. There's a lot of potential for humor. The game certainly seems to have a good sense of humor as ever. And yeah, I thought this looked pretty good. I mean, maybe my hype was dampened by the fact I saw the trailer for it about 10 times. And by the time it had ended, I just wanted it to stop. But I think this looks like a decent time, particularly for fans of 2 Point Hospital. Super Monkey Ball, Banana Mania.
All right, Banana Mania. When I first saw this come up, I kind of thought it was going to be a Donkey Kong game because they just showed a bunch of bananas on the screen and mentioned that something was making a comeback. But it was Monkey Ball. I nearly said sadly it was Monkey Ball, but I'm not sad about it because I bloody love Monkey Ball. And Monkey Ball was at its best in its early releases. So this is Monkey Ball 1, 2, and Monkey Ball Deluxe, the first 3 games. All the levels from those, all fully remastered. All the wacky, crazy mini games. I adore the mini games in this series. There's a baseball game in Monkey Ball 2 that I used to play for hours. It's just ridiculous. So yeah, very excited. This will be good fun.
I find it quite amusing that I literally just bought Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2 for the GameCube this past month.
Of course.
And now I'm going to be buying them again for the Nintendo Switch in a couple of months' time. But this is a great franchise. So much fun. Just the general maze rolling of this game is fantastic. I actually don't think it gets enough credit for how fun it is just at its core mechanics. But the mini games as well, absolutely brilliant. Really sad there's no online component, though. Local multiplayer only. Shame they couldn't have added that in. Mario Party Superstars.
Yeah, Mario Party Superstars. I'm genuinely really excited for this. We've played a lot of Super Mario Party in this house over the last couple of years, but it's a game that was very lacking in content. There was only a few maps. They were all very simplified. So yeah, this is a real throwback. This is going to contain 5 full-sized board games from the old N64 games, which are much more elaborate. There's much more fun stuff going on them. And also 100 mini games, which are taken from the best mini games throughout the entire series for its whole run. So that's awesome. That's really cool. It's going to have full online play. You can play full matches online, and you can even save those matches and come back to them later, which is pretty awesome, actually. That's really cool that you can just save an entire game and come back to it later on online. So yeah, really excited.
Yeah, really good stuff. Actually, I know a lot of people complain this wasn't DLC for Super Mario Party, and I can kind of see their points, but these are the best boards from the N64 games. Having online play as well is a huge coup. It's about time they did that from the start. So, yeah, it looks like a decent time. Metroid Dread.
Metroid Dread. Okay, I'm going to be quick. I want to let you talk about Metroid a bit. I've not massively got into 2D Metroids over the years, but I do know that they're fantastic. So I'm excited to really try and use this one to jump onto them properly. It looks really dark and creepy. There's some contorted white robot monster thing that was just chasing Samus in the trailer. Looked real spooky. So yeah, pretty excited.
Yeah, I'm really hyped for this game. Super Metroid is one of my favorite games of all time. To finally get this fabled fifth entry in this series is about time. I like the fact that the robot is taken on almost like a nemesis sort of character. Yeah. It'll stalk you through the levels as you try to solve things. Adds a nice little twist to the somewhat stale Metroidvania formula. But beyond that, the movement in this game looks really good. Metroid Samus Returns on the 3DS. It's a fantastic game, and Mercury Steam, who developed it, are heavily involved in this one. I think this has the potential to be a real sleeper hit this year. I'm really looking forward to playing it.
Yeah, no, same. And it's out in 10th of August as well, so not long to wait at all.
Dragon Ball Z Kakarot.
Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. This is out in September 24th. Look, I've heard this is a decent enough game. It's already been out on Xbox and PlayStation, so this is just a Switch port. From the footage and the trailers, it looked like a decent enough port. It didn't look like it was struggling on the Switch, which is good. But yeah, I feel like if you're already a big Dragon Ball fan, you've probably played this already. And I heard it was only fine, like a 7 out of 10 game. I've not heard anyone say it was an absolute world beater. So not something I'll be checking out, really. I'm not much of a Dragon Ball guy.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, it certainly looks better than Jump Force. I mean, that's at least something, but this game just didn't get hugely fantastic reviews. I'll give them credit. It looks to be running well on Switch, but it's so much more affordable on an Xbox or PS4 at this point. I just don't know why you'd be picking this up. It does come with some of the DLC, which is nice, I suppose, included in the package. But yeah, I mean, you've got to be a Dragon Ball Z guy to care, and I don't think either of us are.
Nah, exactly. That's the problem.
Tell you what, we are guys of a bit of Cruising Blast.
All right, Cruising Blast. This gave me real Excite Truck vibes from the Wii. Just wacky arcade racer. I don't know, man. I don't know if this is going to be any good. I kind of feel like it's going to suck, but there's a small chance it could be a really fun, simple little arcade racer. It's exclusive to Switch too, which I kind of like because it means that it's going to be. They're going to really be targeting the Switch here, not trying to crush it down to work on a Switch. So I don't know, somewhat optimistic. This has been a series that's had a few good entries, but I don't know yet.
It's a famous old arcade game, as Cruising Blast. It's been out for a few years now. It's wacky as heck. You've got dinosaurs appearing on some of these tracks, and you have to drive around and avoid them. It's arcade as heck. I love arcade races, and I'm actually quite excited for this one. I think this looks like it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. Definitely looking forward to giving it a go. But as you say, maybe it's going to be a little bit dated by today's standards, but I don't know. I think there's potential for Cruising Blast storied Nintendo franchise as well. Worms Rumble.
Worms Rumble. So this is taking Worms and putting it into a real-time shooter in an arena. So it's still 2D, still that kind of classic Worms camera, but it's all real-time. You're just fighting as if it's a normal game. I didn't think this looked great. I thought it looked a bit rough, and it also ran pretty bad as well. When you're showing promo footage and even that looks really frame ratey, that's a problem. If you can't even get good footage to show me now, I have to assume this runs awfully. And it's out this week, June 23rd as well. So don't have a lot of hope for this one. I think this is going to be a miss.
Yeah, I mean, I got this for free as part of PS Plus about a few months ago, so I didn't play it then, and I won't be playing it now. So yeah, look, it's more Worms. Worms as a franchise does what it does. I prefer just old school normal Worms, though. I never really care for the spin-offs they try to do with this. And it's by all accounts, this is a bit of a flop as well. So, it's nice that it's here, but I can't say I particularly care. Care about some Mario Golf Super Rush, though.
Yeah, Mario Golf Super Rush. This is out obviously this week, very, very soon now. Massively excited. I love Mario Golf. And I'm just really excited to have a good portable entry because I didn't actually love the 3DS one. I thought it was a bit weak. So this is going to be awesome. It's got a full campaign, which is great, like the old Game Boy versions. You've got your normal golf, and then you've obviously got your speed golf and battle golf, which are like, you hit your ball and then run off like it's Mario Kart. Those look awesome. Battle golf in particular, we hadn't really seen before, but that looks like it's on like proper Mario Kart courses. It looked like it was like Bowser's Castle levels from Mario Kart. Look really fun. So yeah, very excited. Can't wait to play this.
Yeah, this game looks great. They also showed off a potential bit of DLC set in New Donk City,
Yeah,
which is absolutely fantastic. Who does not want to play a round of golf in New Donk City?
exactly.
Can't wait for this game to come out. It's coming at the end of the week. I've got my copy pre-ordered with my water bottle.
Yep.
Probably be talking about then games of the month on Pixel Mix in a week
definitely.
or so's time. Definitely looking forward to this one. It's going to be a blast.
Absolutely.
Talking about blasts, WarioWare, get it together.
Yes, very, very excited to see WarioWare come back. This is awesome. This is really just, it's a great, all the games in WarioWare have always been fantastic. And it's just one of those series that I kind of thought was dead. So yeah, very excited to see this come back. For anyone who doesn't know, WarioWare is basically, you play a series of like micro games that all take about 3 seconds and you just have to be on it quickly, figure out what the game is, do the action really quickly to get through it. So yeah, this is going to be awesome. I'm a bit concerned a little bit because it looks like in every game now you play as a character on the screen and you kind of float around and do stuff. And that's a bit off the normal thing of what WarioWare is. WarioWare used to be a bit more abstract than that, but we'll see. I'm sure they'll pull it off.
Yeah, I think every character has different kind of moves and mechanics, so they'll vary. And I think you pick like 2 or 3 of them to take into a world with you, so you never know what you're going to have to do with them. So there's certainly a lot of fun to be had there. I love this franchise. Think it's fantastic. Like the twists on old classic micro games as well.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to this. Thrilled it's coming back. Shin Megami Tensei 5.
All right, Shin Megami Tensei. So this is obviously the kind of the series that birthed Persona, really. And I think now that Persona is so big in the West, I feel like they're really trying with this one to make this one work over here as well. It's got similar vibes in that you're from a high school in Japan, but there's the secret demon world happening, and you have to kind of deal with some shit in the demon world. I gotta say, I thought this trailer sucked. To be honest, I thought it was a rough trailer. I spent a lot of time talking in dense detail about all the specific things you're going to do in every part of the game and how the battle mechanics worked and stuff. And it really took me out of it. I also thought graphically, it looked like it was struggling to run on the Switch. It looked like it was having a hard time. So I'm not sold, sadly.
I'd say check out the Japanese trailer for this, which is much more exciting.
Okay.
If you do want to see this game looking at its best. This looks like a lot of fun. I'm probably going to end up be talking about Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne on the new show because I'm going to be picking up a copy of that soon. So yeah, very hyped to try this Persona spin-off franchise for the first time. Danganronpa Decadence.
All right, Danganronpa Decadence. This is a collection of the first 3 Danganronpa games, and then also a kind of board game spin-off that's been fully blown up into a full game. That's really cool. I've tried to play these before, and I kind of fell off them, but I very much want to get into it. It's kind of this weird like visual novel / adventure game connection. It's a really cool combination. And it's just good to have them playable in an easy setting now, because it's been really awkward to play this series for ages. So excited to see them all bundled together on Switch. This could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I just paid a fair whack of money to get these games on the PlayStation Vita. So, call me stupid. Danganronpa V3, though, goes for like £150 on that console. So this is a much cheaper version of that. So I may dive in. I've always wanted to play this game. Very Phoenix Wright, but messed up as heck by all accounts. So yeah, definitely want to give this a go. May give it a buy. Fatal Frame, Maiden of Black Water.
Yeah, weird re-release this. So this came out on the Wii U. Obviously, nobody bought the Wii U other than me and you. So this game didn't sell because we didn't buy it. So it got 0 sales. Yeah, cool to bring it to the Switch. It's obviously a kind of horror game series where it's based around you kind of use a camera to see these monsters and these ghosts and stuff. I actually think this looks pretty good. I thought it looked really good. I thought it looked scary as hell. I don't believe it reviewed fantastically well on the Wii U. I think it got pretty average reviews. So I don't know. Maybe I'll give this a go. I kind of want to, but I'm not sure.
I'm thrilled this came out because I came within a second of buying the £135 Wii U version of this game on eBay a couple of days ago. Man, I just love to get me some Wii U games. And this was one I never expected to be ported because it's so built around the gamepad. So I'd be very interested to see how they actually make this work without it. As you say, it wasn't reviewed particularly well, but I do like me some spooky games, and you don't get many on Switch. Advanced Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp.
Fuck yes, Josh. Advance Wars. Did not expect to be getting any Advance Wars. Massively excited. The mad thing is, I actually think it looks shit as well. I'm still excited. Like, I thought the art style was awful, but I'm so excited and so surprised that we're getting Advance Wars that I'm over it already. I don't even care that it looks a bit rubbish. I'm absolutely going to buy this. The gameplay is going to be like tactical perfection because it always was. Just awesome, man. Just really, really happy that Advance Wars is making a return. Like, everyone, please buy this so that Nintendo can push some proper resources into making sequels.
Yeah, I mean, the graphical style is interesting. It's been developed by Way Forward, who do the Shantae series, and they've kind of taken that style. I don't know if it massively works in Advance Wars, but I'm very pleased to see this franchise coming back. I've come very close to buying the Game Boy Advance versions of these games before, so now I don't need to. I can buy them on Switch. Nice, easy collection. Fantastic strategy series. Let's hope they can make some more off the back of this.
Absolutely.
Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD.
Yeah, Skyward Sword, they showed a bit more of this. This is obviously out in July. Look, I'm quite excited for Skyward Sword. I think it got a bad rap at the time it came out. It was, crunched onto an aging Wii console that was like still standard definition in 2011. I couldn't even get through it because it just looked so ancient. So, it looks sharp, it looks clean. I'm pretty happy with that. The button-based control scheme looks like it works pretty well rather than needing to like waggle a Wii remote around. I think it's cool. I'm glad it's coming back, but yeah, that's all I can say on it really.
Yeah, it's good to have it back. If any of these Zelda games, which people have been clamoring for, be it Twilight Princess or Wind Waker, actually needed a HD reboot, it was this one. Yeah. So I think they've picked the right one to do. If you want to play Wind Waker or Twilight, but just buy a sodding Wii U. Christ, you can buy them for like £20 and a box of chicken nuggets these days. So, it's well worth buying. But yeah, I think Skyward Sword looks like a decent time. And I never finished it either. So it'll be nice to actually see if it's as good as most Zelda games actually are. Legend of Zelda Game & Watch.
Legend of Zelda Game & Watch. This is out on November 12th. This is a Game & Watch in the spirit of the Mario one we got released last year. Just, a tiny Game & Watch device. This one's actually running a fair bit of gaming content, though. You're getting Zelda 1, Zelda 2, and also the Game Boy version of Zelda Link's Awakening, which is fantastic. And then you get a wacky little version of an old Game & Watch game called Vermin, but the character has Link's head on it, which is a bit like what they did with the Mario one. You played ball as Mario. Look, it's an awesome little device. I'm going to buy it and then never use it. That's kind of what I do with these things. But I think it looks pretty cool. So yeah, quite excited.
Yeah, I think it looks very nice. I don't know why they aren't putting the Zelda Game & Watch games on these fins. This continues to baffle me why those aren't being released on them as well. But here we are. We got 4 games this time instead of just the 3, which we'd already bought a million times for Mario. So I'll give this a go. I'll have a bit of Clock and Vermin in my hands. See how we go with that. Could be a decent time. Overpriced as ever, though.
Yeah, of course.
Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2.
All right, Breath of the Wild 2. They finally showed a decent bit of gameplay on this. We got a release date of 2022. I am insanely hyped for this game. I think it looks fantastic. They showed a totally different kind of like almost Skyward Sword looking opening here where you fell from a giant bit of sky. There's all these huge chunks of floating islands in the sky that you seem to be exploring. They showed some ground level content that looked a bit more like Breath of the Wild 1, but you had a lot of new powers. There's fan theories going wild over this because the two characters look completely different in those two things. So are you playing as two totally different people in two different worlds? Like what's going on? I don't know, man. Just hugely excited. I mean, they've been working on this for a lot of years now. I think they're going to put out like an absolute classic here.
I'm sure it's going to be very good. I don't think it's going to release in 2022, but we can live in hope. It'll probably get nudged into the first half of 2023, but take the time with it, man. It's very rare to get a Zelda sequel on the same console. It doesn't happen too often, so let's see how it goes. It was nice to finally get some footage of it, though. Maybe people could shut up about it now. Nintendo, overall thoughts?
All right, overall thoughts. I thought Nintendo knocked this out of the park, man. It's been publicized a lot how Nintendo in particular have really struggled with like working from home on development and stuff because they're so intense and insular about the way they kind of do their development. They don't like anything getting out. So the fact that they had this much content here, I thought was awesome. And they're reviving all kinds of great series. As we're getting 2D Metroid games, we're getting a new Mario Party. And that's not even going on to stuff like Advance Wars and WarioWare. I thought this absolutely kicked ass. I thought they did a fantastic job. Easily the best show of the week.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I know a lot of people were disappointed, but maybe it's because the franchises they brought back, be it WarioWare, Advanced Wars, Metroid, are very much my franchises. Yeah, so It was almost tailor-made for me. And with the knowledge that you've got a Pokemon game coming this year as well, I just think there's so much good stuff coming to the Switch this year. I think it's a really strong year for the console. Shin Megami Tensei as well. I mean, there's just so much coming. I don't know why people are complaining, honestly.
Yeah, totally agree.
Get over yourselves. That's it.
That's it. We did it. That is the most ridiculous set of Lightning Round content that I think we'll ever do. Even if Lightning Round comes to Pixel Mix, I think there'll never be one longer than this. For anyone not keeping count at home, that was 1 hour and 25 minutes of constant Lightning Round without any form of break. I'm not sure how we managed to do that. That's absolutely insane. Oh God. There's just, a lot of good stuff there. E3 was tricky to get through this week. There was a ton of content. Some of those shows were a bit weak. But I think the big hitters, they made it work. Xbox did a good job. Nintendo did a good job. So on the whole, I'm pretty happy. And I think we got a lot of good stuff coming.
Plenty of games to look forward to. That's all you can ever ask for.
Exactly. So anyway, that is the end of the show this week. Until next time, I'm Andy Wood, and I mean, who even knows what I'm on the sheet at this point? I've long since gave up on that. But I would say, obviously, next week is the final episode of Beat the Sheet. That's going to be launching same time as always. And it's going to be a huge one because we are going through our top 50 games on the entire sheet. So all the stuff that's come through on Game Pass from the start of 2020. I assume it's going to be our biggest show ever by some margin. So please do enjoy that. And of course, please do check out Pixel Mix because that will be starting even before that final Beat the Sheet episode. So we have a very busy week ahead of us, don't we, Josh?
Absolutely. Let us know what you think. The final Sheeties will be taking place in next week's show as well. We'll be interspersing the top 50 with Sheety Awards. It's all going on. So, it's going to be a huge, giant episode, but do let us know what you think of Pixel Mix as well. Any feedback we can get in the early stages is gratefully appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. So, thanks a lot for listening this week, guys. And we will see you next week.
Goodbye.